feel summer creeping in, and I'm tired of this town again. Well, I don't know, but I've been told you never slow down, you never grow old. I'm tired of screwing up, I'm tired of going down, I'm tired of myself, I'm tired of this town. Oh my, oh hell yes. Honey, put on that party dress, buy me a drink, sing me a song, take me as I come, cause I can't stay long. Last dance with Mary Jane, one more time to kill the pain. I feel summer creeping in, I'm tired of this town again. Market Square, she's standing in her underwear, looking down from a hotel room. The nightfall will be coming soon. Oh my, oh hell yes. You got to put on that party dress. It was too cold to cry when I woke up alone. I hit my last number, I walked to the road. Last dance with Mary Jane, one more time to kill the pain. I feel summer creeping in, and I'm tired of this town again.
Can't buy me love, love, can't buy me love. I'll buy you a diamond ring, my friend, if it makes you feel alright. I'll get you anything, my friend, if it makes you feel alright. Cause I don't care too much for money, but money can't buy me love. I'll give you all I've got to give if you say you love me too. I may not have a lot to give, but what I got I'll give to you. I don't care too much for money, but money can't buy me love, can't buy me love. Everybody tells me so, can't buy me love. No, 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 say you don't need no diamond rings, and I'll be satisfied. Tell me that you want the kind of things the money just can't buy. I don't care too much for money, money can't buy me love. that money just can't buy. I don't care too much for money. Money can buy me love. Buy me love. Love. Buy me love.
How about now? Can you hear me now? Always win. All right, all right. I fight authority, and authority always wins. Hey, everybody, AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region. I'm Jim Dedelow, literally kind of the voice and face of the region. And if you're just joining us for the first time, say you were listening to something last night, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to come over to WJOB. And I am sitting here on TV also, and you can go watch that. And for just a little bit longer, we are still on the JED TV app, I believe. You got to go on your phone, and then you got to hit that little JED TV thing right at the top, and then you'll be able to find me. And there I am, right there, if you're watching. Yeah, like a But you can also get it on YouTube, and I appreciate that. Now, we're going to have to change some things up, and I'm putting in a new system, so you might notice that at times I'm playing some music to get the system in right. And it's a radio system. We worked for so long on putting all this video stuff together and build a sports network that I kind of concentrated on that for 4.5 years. And now I'm kind of looking back and say, well, how do you make the radio better and the podcasting better? And putting a little system in. So stay tuned when you turn it on in the afternoon, and it's mostly music, and you'll know why that I'm trying to fix things. But anyways, how are you? Huh? That is the first sip of coffee. I took my sweet time this morning because I can't find my wireless microphone, so I have a wired microphone. I got a headset on, kind of like going back to the old. Coming across the timeline, Washington over to Monroe. Monroe down low to Lukowski and up and it's blocked by Miller. Going the other way. Announcing games. God, I announced games. I think my first announcing game was 1984 worn these kind of headphones, but most of the time I walk around with a wireless mic we bought for kind of a high end one I bought a long time ago. And for some reason I've misplaced it. Adriana will be here at 7:12. She will find it when she gets here. But let's take a look at what's going on with traffic, as it has been kind of a light traffic morning so far. Although I came in about 20 minutes later than I normally do, and what a difference. I normally come down the road about 5:15, and I was just taking my sweet time this morning. And there's all sorts of more traffic a half hour later. But anyways, 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good. The Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road, Borman, I-65, they're all moving along pretty well. And just really beautiful weather time. And I don't know what I mean, there's so much wisdom that I've been able to glean from Kurt Vonnegut books over the years. And every time my wife's like, how many Kurt Vonnegut books are you going to read? I go, well, I've read them all several times. And but every once in a while I'll go back and just say, hey, I'm going to read this one. I'm going to read God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater, or Slaughterhouse 5. So I'm reading Slaughterhouse 5 right now. And he talks about what he called at the time the mysteries of Indian summer. Now, I don't think you're supposed to couch it like that anymore, but because of I don't know, I'm not sure why, but I haven't heard that term in some time, and I'm only quoting it out of a book. So, but this time of year, it just gets into your blood, man. It's just so, there are times, like yesterday, I babysat for a couple hours or more in the late afternoon, and I'm like, hey, dude, let's just, well, here, let me do the weather and I'll start. A high of 87. It's only 54 right now, and it goes up to 87, very warm with intervals of clouds and sunshine, so it's going to get warm quick, and it seems really nice, but man, is it going to warm up. And then Friday, you're talking close to 90, very warm with times of clouds and sun. Saturday, maybe a little passing shower or two, but very warm again, high in the mid-80s. And then by Sunday, it's a high of around 80, and on Monday, and then you got some rain coming. So enjoy the time while it's here in this beautiful weather. So I need to get caught up here, and we need to talk about some of the news things that are going on. I certainly, anymore, there's so many things going on that it's very difficult to pick one. Just pick one and just talk about it. And that's what you wind up with. Well, that wasn't a bad show because we had this to talk about. But you had this, and this. And then if you don't talk about it, it's like, hey, there's some conspiracy here because we live in a land of everything's a conspiracy right now. But I'll pick a couple things, and we'll talk about them, and we will laugh a little bit. And then the way the state of the world is right now, maybe we'll even cry a little bit. But for just a moment here, and I'm hoping YouTube doesn't kick us off because I got here the last one. Put the road right on me. La poro poro hermiskifi pa 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 ha pa 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 ho para pa pipiriri pa la tara para ne Hishke pi mo po po loco Shmifa Hele Mara Norashki Pupalara Mam Hitkirishi pup kalarama. Hel maranoroshke fupararana.
Get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime, sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie, double fall time. You feel alright when you hear the music ring. Well, now you step inside, but you don't see too many faces. Coming in out of the rain, they hear the jazz go down. Competition in other places, but the horns, they blowing that sound. Way on down south, way on down south, London town. Check out Guitar George, he knows all the chords. Mine is strictly rhythm, he doesn't want to make it cry or sing. If any no guitar is all he can afford, when he gets up under the lights to play his thing. And Harry doesn't mind if he doesn't make the scene. He's got a daytime job, he's doing alright. He can play the honky-tonk like anything, saving it up Friday night with the Sultans, with the Sultans of Swing. Any crowded young boy.
La camaracha para he. Now I see what Gina was talking about. There's these headphones are bad, so all right, I had to try something else. But hey, what's everybody doing? It's a Thursday morning, and I'm here. I'm Jed, and I will be on the air more or less doing podcasts and so forth until 11:30. So I'm taking my sweet ass time getting going. So if it's a little bit slower than normal, hey, why don't you just deal with it? High of 87 today, very warm. 90 on Friday, 84 on Saturday, Sunday 80. Beautiful day on Sunday and Monday, and then some rain comes next week and it gets cooler. And then in terms of the traffic, there really isn't any right now. So anyways, if there is anything, you're coming up to Bishop Ford and you hit the top of the steel bridge, you will have some red lights and a garbage dump on the other side for just a little while. But the Dan Ryan itself is moving along pretty well. All right, let's see what Andrew has to say. Let's see if he covers one of our own getting a job. So hold on a second here, and here we are. What'd you say, Andrew?
Now is brought to you by the South Shore Line and by Strachan Van Til, making life easier for 95 years.
All right, now I'm all tangled up. I got a thing here. Now I see. So somebody wore my. Can you guys remember? Were you here? Who would have worn my wireless microphone and then maybe taken it with them or something? You know, because I can't find it right now, and I'm a little bit turned around about the whole thing. You know what I mean? So. Oh, yeah, it seems like so-and-so was wearing it yesterday during the show when Dabberton was here. And all right, here we go. Let's try it again, Andrew, on the voice.
By the South Shore Line and by Strachan Van Til, making lives easier for 95 years.
I'm Andrew Garcia, and this is your 219 News Now. Japanese company Daifuku has completed a $35 million expansion of its Hobart factory, adding 269,000 square feet to its existing 322,000 square foot building to double production capacity. The expansion aims to meet the increasing demand for automation in the U.S., where labor shortages and rising costs are driving the need for super technology. Daifuku plans to hire 141 more full-time workers, invest in local production for local consumption, and grow its North American business with the new facility at 6300 Northwind Parkway in Hobart. Michigan City's proposed 2026 budget includes a 2% raise for most city employees following a year without permanent raises in 2025. The $69 million draft budget represents a $1.9 million increase in spending, driven partly by rising employee health care costs and the implementation of pay ranges for city roles. Additionally, the city expects to miss out on $1 million in property tax revenue due to a property tax relief law, but anticipates receiving payments from Gary to resolve an administrative error involving casino revenue distribution. The defamation lawsuit between Spiros Batistatos, the former president of the South Shore Convention and Visitors Authority, and Hammond Mayor Thomas McDermott Jr. will continue in state court following a federal judge's dismissal of the defamation claim due to lack of federal issues. Batistatos alleges that McDermott's remarks on his podcast caused significant harm to his reputation, career, and job prospects, while McDermott argues that his criticisms as a public figure are protected by the First Amendment. McDermott is expected to respond to the lawsuit in the coming weeks, with no set schedule for further filings or a trial date. And in sports, the Highland School Board has approved the hiring of Sam Michael, a 2011 graduate, as the new head coach for the Trojans baseball team. He brings almost a decade of coaching experience and aims to continue the success of the program after their recent sectional title win. He is committed to keeping athletes connected to the program and building relationships with future players, emphasizing the collective effort that has contributed to Highland's baseball legacy. To read up on more local news and headlines, visit jedtv.com and nwi.com. I'm Andrew Garcia, and this has been your 219 News Now.
All right, let's talk about a couple there. So we did the weather, we did the traffic, and now it's just me sitting here trying to find out remember how to do all this stuff. And you got to remember that all these young students have come through here and learned how to do everything, including operate and fix at times one of the most complex streaming systems of any local media in America. And that's kind of why people come in here and they sit in this chair and then they get hired in Chicago somewhere and they just kind of raid our cupboard of talent. And I understand the role that we have played over the many years. People work here, go to Purdue, go to IUN, go to Cal College, and they, oh my gosh, you work there, you learn this, you learn that, okay, I'll hire you. And they go on to pretty good jobs. But it's pretty hard. And sometimes if I'm not doing it regularly, I forget like one little step. It's like flying a plane. It's like Dr. Thomas Philpott flying a plane, or John Friend, or Brent Brazier. And you got to remember every little one. So if something doesn't work out a little bit, come on, it's just me. I'm just hanging out here. All right, let's talk a couple about. Now, I saw this thing here of two things. First of all, Sam Michael is now, let me find if I can, here we go. Let me read this thing. It says, all right, I'll just put it on the screen for you here. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, go to WJOB 1230 on YouTube, or go to still for a little while. We're still on JED TV. All you got to do is click if you're on your phone, or if click the little heading up there, and you'll be able to find us on JED TV. But it says here, a familiar face is stepping into the lead role for Highland baseball. The Highland School Board approved the hiring of Sam Michael as a Trojans' new head coach on Tuesday evening. Michael, a 2011 Highland grad, brings nearly a decade of coaching experience to a program that captured its first sectional title in 25 years last spring. I am excited and relieved that we can concentrate on doing all the stuff we need to do this off season to get ready for the spring. Michael has been a fixture in the program, blah, blah, blah. Though he admitted he'd prefer to live in a world where former coaches John Bogner or Zach Pizer were still at the helm. Michael felt he was best positioned to carry on the torch. Sam has been a diehard Highland player coach since I met him, said Chesterton coach Is it Bogner or Bogner? Is it John Bogner or John Bogner? That's for Bogner. Sorry. He gets mad when I say his name wrong. Hey, Bogner, don't worry about it. Hey, his heart is 100% in it for the Highland kids and community. He was an amazing assistant, and I know he will be an amazing head coach. I know what you're thinking. Now Highland Schools is rating our talent. Sam used to be a kind of a big part of WJOB, and we built a streaming network, WJOB Network, and then we quickly realized that it is way more popular for sports than what we originally intended it for, and now it is JED TV Sports Network. It's going to be completely sports, and WJOB is going to have its own. I'm revamping it. Believe me, I spent 5 years building a sports network. Sam's running that, and him and Peter Krakowski and Ben Coert, and then I need to go over and work on some of this radio stuff that I have neglected, but it's in good hands because that whole network, which is growing leaps and bounds. I want to say thank you to the many newer clients that have signed on and have recognized the value of connecting with high school athletes and branding next to high school athletes on games. It's crazy. We didn't expect it, and here it is. But Sam runs all that, and so he really doesn't have much to do with WJOB anymore. And I know what your question is. If he's going to go be the head Highland baseball coach, where does that leave you, Jed? And Sam is going to be here to answer that question in his own way, but I'll just tell you that there's two things that Sam Michael cares about, three things that he cares about almost as much as he says. He's very religious, sings at church. You listen to him on Sunday mornings. He's on one of the masses for the Byzantines. And he is, if you go to somebody dies in their congregation, then Sam comes in a lot of times with people and they sing at the wake or the service. And he's pretty active in his church, and certainly with his mom and dad and his brother. His brother is, don't ever play him in a scramble, okay? Sam told me that he kind of hustled a couple guys the other days. They said, well, why don't we scramble us two against you and your brother? And he's like, are you sure? And I've played with his brother, who is in the streets and sand over there, or Public Works in Highland, and he looks like a normal dude. But then he puts a golf club in his hand, and I swear he's angrier than John Daly ever has been at a golf ball, and might just hit it as far as John Daly. And I'm like, oh, man, I got to remember that when I got a couple of these scrambles. Big scrambles today. All the construction guys are coming out. I'll probably head out to Briar. I was going to try to head out to Whitehawk this afternoon. We'll see. But I'm on the air till 11:30. Then I have two appointments at 11:30 where I'm double booked. And then I might go out I can't play, obviously, because I'm kind of busy. But I will get on out to Whitehawk, where many of you are headed right now, probably, to go out for a big outing. But anyways, back to Sam Michael. In a weird way, I know this is going to sound odd. It's like I very much wanted Sam to get the job. Ryan Harrington, the athletic director, knows that Sam's been, even when Bogner was there, was kind of, really a big force holding together a lot of the Highland baseball. And there's a lot of tradition there. And Bogner left, went over to Chesterton, and then Zach Pizer took it. Zach's has a young family, and he moved on, and then that left an opening. And Sam's like, "Man, I'm going to do this." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm glad." But it hurts us in the spring, as you will see. And that Sam is, pretty much the coach there, and has been the assistant, so he will kind of do most of his day will be high school baseball at the time. It gives us a very good window into what games to do. And, I mean, if you guys haven't been following it, high school baseball in the Calumet region and high school softball have been amazing success stories all the way across the board. Highland winning their first sectional in 25 years out at Block Stadium, a completely revamped Block Stadium. It was a pretty nice region moment, as I think they beat, was it Griffith or was it maybe Knoll they beat? And Griffith, I went out and watched those games, and I'm like, man, this is a perfect moment to watch this kind of history happening at Block Stadium. And I guess they put $8 million into it. You have no idea. I mean, but it is a legitimate minor league park. I got to believe somebody's going to come there and outside of the Sutkowski. I mean, well, you know what? They're making use of it, and rightfully so. But anyways, softball is in the same way, but we had 8 teams from the region in state finals. Well, there's only 8 games. So we dominated softball and baseball this year, and I can't see any way to do that. And I don't see any of that stopping. People ask me sometimes, well, all right, specifically, why is boys baseball so good right now? And some of you guys don't want to hear this, and I say this specifically for my good buddy, big-time Brian Jennings. Dave Sutkowski, he would understand this, former coach at Morton and the Chiefs guy. And certainly Sam wouldn't necessarily. They've all been very tight rivals of Andrean, which has dominated the state for years. And part of the reason is Dave Pishker has set up a dynasty there at Andrean. And, I mean, I'm just the guy from the cheap seats looking at it, and that Pishker has done so well for so long that he has kind of raised the bar for everybody around here. And all the other high schools got to try to, meet Pishker, and it has kind of eaten up some people at times. And it's just one man can make a big difference, and he has. And one of the other reasons is all of these, you wouldn't think that we're up here where the weather's bad, and then down in Bloomington and Evansville, the weather's better. If you went to school down there, you realize that sometimes you're down there and it's like 60 degrees, beautiful day, and then you drive up to the region and it's 45 and windy and rainy, and you're like, what the hell happened? It's like I went to a different continent. And it's a lot nicer weather down in the southern part of the state. Why would it be up here next to Lake Michigan, which always gives us uncontrollable or unpredictable weather? And part of that is guys like Dave Griffin that have been able to put all of these hitting schools and these baseball schools together. And I think part of it is, what was that one dude who was with the Twins and he scouted for the Twins? He had some of these schools down here where they teach the kids the fundamentals. It's a big industry here. Part of that is being so close to Chicago and having people from, I think Mickey Morandini had a thing for a while, but there is, White Sox have had things down here. There's this closeness to all of the, basically the Cubs and the Sox, and it has kind of filtered down here. Baseball is king around here right now. So anyways, congratulations to Sam Michael. I'm glad that he got the job, and all you folks in Highland, I want you to know that he's on loan. Hopefully he's one. Maybe he's the next Pishker. Oh, would he hate to hear that? Brian Jennings is just laughing his ass off right now. But I hope so, because as you guys know, I mean, recently we've lost several people to the Big Ten Network and to Barstool Sports and to a bunch of other places. And so what happens is I seem like a nice guy right now, but as soon as the mic goes off, it's like, do this, do that. How come you don't know this? Go watch a YouTube video or put it in AI if you can't figure it out. And it's kind of like, remember they used to do They used to do this skit with Frank Sinatra on Saturday Night Live where he would do duets with people, and then he'd go, "Come on, hurry up, get in here, sing your song, now beat it." And sometimes I feel like that. I'm like, gosh, I sound like a reasonably nice guy on the air. And then all of a sudden I go in the background. I'm like, if you don't know how to do this, get the hell out of here, blah, blah, blah. And so it can get a little daunting. But part of this, Sam is very, very, he's very eligible for some sort of big job. But now that he's got that job, I know he's probably going to stay here for a little while, which is good. So Harrington, the athletic director at Highland, I had my fingers crossed. Victor Garcia at the school board over there at Highland. There was a dude while you guys were having your meeting that had his fingers crossed. Please give him that job. And during the spring, we have some new guys. I think that Semino, who actually went to Andre and was a quarterback over there, he may take some of the duties up in the spring. I did it last year, and I did a horrible job at it, so I'm out, and we'll get some young kid to take Sam's duties over in the spring. All right, we got another story here that I just saw that popped up, and in the Andrew Garcia's news there. Now, let me see. Former Lake Tourism Chief refiles suit against Hammond entities. A long-running defamation lawsuit involving two of Northwest Indiana's biggest personalities will continue a while longer. Spiros Batistatos, past president and CEO of the South Shore Convention and Visitors Authority, recently filed suit at the Lake Superior Court against Hammond Mayor Thomas McDermott Jr., the city of Hammond, and McDermott's Left of Center podcast in response to allegedly false and harmful remarks McDermott made in 2021 about Batistatos on the podcast and elsewhere. The defamation claim initially was included in a still pending federal lawsuit Batistatos is pursuing against the SSCVA and some other people. But if I want to, however, Judge Damon Leakty, I have no idea who that is, U.S. District Judge, said there was no federal issue involved in the defamation suit. So he said they had to refile it in state court. And I think there was some, and I haven't really followed this thing that closely. Quite frankly, it's like one of those stories that just won't go away. And I'm like, I really got to talk about this again. And but if I remember correctly, they said, all right, dismissed it in federal court. And I'm not altogether sure that wasn't kind of expected. And now he's got to refile it in state court. But you still have, like the Times said, two of the biggest personalities in the region going at it, and it's kind of high drama, and maybe we should pay more attention to it, if nothing else, for the drama and just see what happens. And it's kind of interesting, I guess. But according to the Times, Batistatos' refiled lawsuit asserts that McDermott and other defendants caused significant damage to Batistatos' reputation, career, and job prospects by suggesting Batistatos engaged in, quote, criminal conduct, criminal, quote, criminal, unquote, conduct at the tourism agency, and deeming him, quote, the most corrupt official in Northwest Indiana. The most corrupt official in Northwest Indiana. I didn't know he said that. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's pretty deep. Now, there is some backstory here, in that, as you well know, Hammond Mayor Tom McDermott and I have gone back and forth over the years. And sometimes it's just kind of, like I said, every once in a while, it's like being with a family that bickers all the time. You just go, when the wife's like, I can't take it anymore, just say, hey, man, just sit back and enjoy the entertainment. what do you mean? But I don't want to do that. You know, all these people do is bicker. And, all right, well, all I got to do is just put your feet up and go, well, I'm just going to watch. And that's kind of what this situation's around. So they're saying that McDermott said that he was the most corrupt official in Northwest Indiana. Honestly, the complaint also includes extensive quotes from the mayor's podcast where McDermott falsely, Bottistato says, asserted that Bottistato wielded tourism tax money like a weapon and engaged in illegal conspiracies, incorrectly stating Bottistatos' salary, mischaracterized his interactions with Bottistatos, and lied about Bottistatos' whining and dining of public officials. Wow. What did McDermott say on this podcast? He said, I'm not going to get cocky, but I think we're going to win this case like we won the federal case. Well, in the meantime, we got, as Kuziak will pick this story up tomorrow, and Kuziak will know 100 times more about this story than I will. I'm like you. I'm just kind of watching from hey, man, it's kind of interesting, right? And it is just interesting. That's all. Let me see if I could get a little bit more on this case. If there's Bottistatos. Let me see if I can get this on here. Let's see. Number 4. Okay, there you go. There's Bottistatos. Now, if you guys, there is a backstory. And if you know Spiros and if you know Hammond, Mayor Tom McDermott, they are two of the top personalities ever in the Calumet region, right? And it just so happens that I have had the honor of feeling the wrath or no, not the wrath. Let's be clear here that they have been dissatisfied with me at times. And it kind of ebbs and flows. I saw Spiros recently, and I told him the same thing that I told McDermott in 2020. It's like, hey, man, or is it 2019 or 2020? I told McDermott, I said, hey, listen, I love doing the City of Hammond show, but you would be better off. You'd be better served with a podcast. First of all, you could swear. The guy came in here swearing, and he, like, you know how it is. It's very expensive when, you know, if that happens regularly and you don't do anything about it. The FCC will ding you. And I'm like, come on, man, that's one. But, you know, the stuff we're talking about isn't city business sometimes or borders on. You'd be better off. Just do your own podcast. He goes, what do you mean? All right, so now he's doing his own podcast. Well, I've said the same thing to Spiros. I'm like, Spiros, come on, man. You're pretty interesting. You do a good podcast, even though at times he is, let's just be straight, has not liked me very much at all. And we get that. But it ebbs and flows. And like I said, you know, when everybody's bickering, you just kind of go, hey, it's got to enjoy the entertainment. But I saw Spiros recently, and he seems to be living a decent life, and we're laughing. And I would love to have him do a podcast. But as you can see, I'm kind of separating things out so that I can do podcasts. And I will be recording 4 podcasts today after my show, and you can listen. We try to record them live, and you can listen to them. But we're getting better at it, and it's run by Adriana Alvarez. And I'm like, come on, Spiros, people would listen to that. And he's like, well, let me think about it. But the force of these two characters, and I've felt that force. And like I said, you know, if you've gone through enough tragedy in your life and you grow up around really strong women like my mom and cousin Phyllis and my daughters and my sister Jennifer. And I got another sister who's in town right now from Long Island. She might be considered not the nice sister, but the sister that she's just kind of, you know, life is kind of hunky-dory for her. So I haven't really felt it from her. But when you grow up around these, like, women that are just, like, you know, just kind of just take you to task all the time. It's almost like going out in the world's a lot easier. I was like, hey man, somebody sent me a picture. Hey man, there's nothing of a T-shirt, and I can't remember exactly what it said, but it's like, hey, there's nothing you can do to me. I have 4 sisters, and I go, well, I got a ton of the sphere of really kind of authoritarian women, and after a while, it's like, well, I appreciate you in the political world, trying to threaten me or intimidate me, and I'll take it under advisement, but. I'm more worried about Cousin Phyllis taking me to task than you. Way more worried. But anyways, let me see if I can find some more on this. Anybody knows anything or wants to talk about the McDermott Batistatos thing, the Lock Pod? I went on Friday and I enjoyed it immensely. I went on their Lock Pod with Kevin Smith and McDermott, so you see that things are, I don't know, and then. There'll always be kind of a brush with the mayor of Hammond if you own WJOB. It's how it was when Colby was here. It was how it was when McDermott Sr. was here and my cousin was the mayor. I mean, it goes back. Colby told me once, he said, hey, listen, it's always going to be that way, because you know what Colby told me once? Colby is the guy who owned this and basically trained me in the 80s. And he said that it is always going to be that way between the mayor of Hammond and WJOB. And he goes, but look around, and you realize that there's people going to jail in EC, there's people going to jail in Gary, there's people that go to jail in Lake County. He goes, but Hammond stays pretty clean, right? And he goes, why do you think that is? And I'm like, well, I don't know, dude. Just beats the Sam Hill out of me. He goes, that's because the Times is here and WJOB is here. And we're in Hammond. Well, at the time, the Times was in Hammond. And that keeps a watchdog on everything that's going on in Hammond government. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. But it probably doesn't help the relations between the local media and the mayor's office. And he's like, exactly. There will always be a brush. But anyways, I hope you, anything you want to talk about, but I'll be right back on the voice. All right. I'm having a little technical problems. Adriana's not here, and she's driving in right now, and I'm going, Adriana, where are you? But I will see if I can play some music here, and then she tells me don't play it too long because it's on YouTube now. And then go straight to the commercials and then come back and don't play too much music. All right, I'll be right back on the voice and face of the Calumet region. Why not, huh? Dun, 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 dun.
We are the Sultans of Swing.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running. That's why at Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
They're having fun? Is it because they booked a new vacation package that made it easy to change and rearrange their whole trip? Bingo? Bongo. Introducing Getaways by Southwest. Vacation's more fun when it's flexible.
American TV network ABC has taken the late
ABC telling NBC News that they
I tip my hat to the new Constitution. Take a bow for the new revolution. Smile and grin at the change all around. Pick up my guitar and play, just like yesterday. Then I'll get on my knees and pray.
An Olympic size pool is 50 by 25
We
meters.
don't get fooled again.
Always 100% of the time. For golf, it's never the same twice. Just like the ever-changing environments, Citi's expertise and advice helps clients navigate
Change it had to
in
come.
180 markets.
We knew it all
Worldwide partner of the
along.
Ryder Cup.
We were liberated from the folded song.
Killing it. Trying to play a fuller version of what's said.
Just the same. History ain't changed.
This kid who murdered Charlie Kirk with the gang desperately trying to
In the last war, I'll tip my hat to the new
First album I ever bought, Hegwish Records, 1970, I don't know, Who album. And it was the Who Are You? Drove over from Munster, stopped at Riverside Park, and then bought a Who album and came home and just blew it out. I don't even know if I'm not a huge Who fan, but it had just come out, and Hegwish Records was all excited that they had it. I'm like, why not? Hey, 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good to Bishop Ford into the Dan Ryan. Looks good also up until about the Steel Bridge, and then it's Katy Bar the Door. A little coming off the Steel Bridge and then up to Dan Ryan has gotten kind of bad all the way up. So I wouldn't go to pay the money quite yet, but a little bit 20% worse, and I'll let you know. And then you should go up and go on the Skyway Toll Road. All that stuff's moved along well. Even the Borman looks good, nice 65. In terms of the weather, another beautiful day, except a little warm today. I was, I shouldn't say babysitting. I said hanging out with my grandson, and I took him walked him over to Wicker Park in a stroller, and got kind of thirsty, so I went over and saw the guys at the Wicker Park Clubhouse and said hello and got a Gatorade, and then walked the kid out in the park and just kind of hung out. And I was bringing him over to the playground, but instead I'm like, just pull him out and put him out here near a tree in the middle of Wicker Park. And we sat there for like 45 minutes, and he just crawled around. And all I could think of is, man, this is these kind of moments. People can't ever take them away from you. A, I'm hanging out with the kid who's kind of cool. And then it's a beautiful day. And then there's all these people in other parts of the park. I mean, I love Wicker Park. And it's just, but part of it was the weather. I think it was 80 degrees, sunny, not real windy. And it gets into your soul. And we have another day like that. The sun, as I say, it gets into your soul. The sun just came up over Randy Gottschalk's office across the street. And it's beautiful. And here comes there's Sam coming in now. Good. And but anyways, very warm with intervals of clouds and sun and a high of 87 today. Tomorrow, high of 89, very warm with clouds and sun. And then Saturday, times of clouds and sun and a high of 83. Well, we're getting Sam all set up. Let's take some phone calls. You want to talk? We talked a little bit about Sam Michael getting a Highland baseball job. That was on the 219 News Now. Go to NWI.com and you can watch 219 News Now. And also, Batistatos and McDermott still going at it. Also, I did not get to talk to this one, but ABC yanks the Jimmy Kimmel Show indefinitely after a threat from the head of the FCC. Now, if you're in broadcasting and someone says, hey, the FCC's on the phone, I'm pretty sure you got to go change your undergarments later, because it is the kind of phone call that I've gotten it a couple of times, and it is just awful. And Disney must have gotten the call or something, and then Disney's ABC is taking Jimmy Kimmel's late-night talk show off the air indefinitely amid a controversy over his recent comments about Charlie Kirk's suspected killer. Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely, an ABC spokesperson said. And the stunning decision came just a few hours after the Trump administration, officially responsible for licensing ABC's local stations, publicly pressured the company to punish Kimmel. And free speech and free expression groups immediately condemned ABC, calling the suspension cowardly, while President Trump, who frequently sparred with Kimmel, celebrated all the way to the UK, where he is on a state visit. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done, Trump wrote in a post. That leaves Jimmy and Seth two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC. So he's looking, he got basically, there was pressure on Colbert, and now Kimmel's out, and here come, how's Jimmy Fallon how's it feel to have the target on your back from the President of the United States? Man, that's tough. These are tough times. Here's what Jimmy Kimmel said. Let's see if I can do this correctly. You think I can get it right, Sam? La 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 la. I got to play this, and then we'll go talk. All right, what'd you say, Kimmel? I am kind of curious myself. Here it is.
Characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. There's demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend.
All right, that was, I took it off of CNN thing, so I don't know, first thing that popped up. That video is everywhere if you want to watch it. Free speech, free expression, I don't even know what that means. I know a lot of people wave that, hey, it's free speech, free expression. And I'm like, hey, listen, I don't know. We just go on the air and we just talk, all of us. And is that free speech? I don't know. Is that free expression? I don't know. It's not really totally free speech because, it's if I decide I don't want it, then it's not free speech, right? So it's kind of like JED speech, I guess, or it's like what I like to call speed freech. I will say one thing. On the story that we covered on Tuesday that Verley and I covered, and we were talking about the case of a guy named Michael McInerney out of Griffith, and there are charges against him for sexual, I don't know, it's a level 6 felony. That's all I remember. And we were talking about some of the news coverage and, some of the things that were said in the Post. I looked at the byline, and you're right, it wasn't a Michelle Quinn byline, so I don't did she have any influence over that article, or did she write it? I don't know, and if I implied that, I'm sorry about that, but I do know that I have spoken to her and that she and Michael McInerney is Mad Max, so they have clashed in the past, and that's a very unfortunate situation. We started that discussion from there about grabbing women, that 55% of women under 50 feel as if they worry about getting groped or assaulted in public places, and it is a good time to have that discussion. It is an awful story, the accused and the accuser, and no woman, women. I guess it just kind of propagates the fear, whether the courts, whatever the courts do with it. We're not going to try that case here, but certainly there is rough stuff locally, and certainly there is rough stuff on a national level. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel going out last night was the thing about Jimmy Kimmel is, if I remember this, is that Kevin Smith, who's on McDermott's Lock Pod that we were just talking about, his brother is Matt Money Smith, and he's been on the air many times here because he is the big radio dude in LA, and he was there doing sports, like he's a sports dude, when Kimmel was also a sports dude, and somehow he got the late night show, but Kimmel's just like a sports dude at very heart, and now he's trying to go into politics, which teaches me something. Sam's going to laugh at that, so I haven't turned his mic on yet. But a sports dude, if there's anything to learn from Kimmel, and I just thought of this, is that a sports dude really shouldn't skip over and try to talk politics. Now, many of you are, Kuziak and Baker are just laughing because they've been telling me that for years. They go, "You're a sports dude. Why are you trying to talk about this stuff?" I go, "Because I have to. I own WJOB." Well, now there's plenty of people, including Kuziak and Dabberton and Verley, Michelle Quinn, Pullen, Brent Brazier. They know politics a lot better than I do. And if there's anything, I know people are like, "Oh, free speech, free expression." There's this massive issue with the Kimmel thing. And I'm like, okay, but all it's telling me is that sports dudes need to stay in their lane. And it probably applies to me also. Adriana Alvarez is here. Adriana, how are you? I can't find my mic, and I have to wear this, and it sounds weird, so I'm playing the music off of here, and you're going to find it for me because if you guys have a problem with WJOB, please take it to the 21-year-old. What's your title now? Program. We're going to call her content manager, but really she's kind of making a lot of the decisions here. So if you don't like it, as soon as she gets out of class, you can lodge your complaint with her. All right, I will be right back. Let me try to figure out this and get out of the seat here. Sam Michael's in the house. He's the new high school baseball coach at Highland, and we're going to, congratulate him and then maybe make fun of him for just a little while because that's what I do on the Voice and Face of the Region. Na-na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na-na.
This Hulu Plus Live TV lineup is stacked. Let's meet the All-Stars. Live TV, Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus.
This is insane.
Hulu Plus Live TV, where live sports meets entertainment.
When Verizon gives you a
keeps a locker in her pocket. She wears a cross around her neck. Yes, the hair is from a little boy, and the cross is someone she has not met, but not yet. Says she talks to angels. Says they
Turn me down.
Hey, that music sounds awful. Gino's right. Something's wrong there. Did you play that off of this computer right here, the Apple?
Yeah.
All right, don't do that. I mean, Gino says I bought a new headphone distributor over there, and you need to put it in because you're running the content on WJOB now. How's that feel?
You said content. You didn't say that.
I don't know, Sam. I think she should be all right putting that new headphone distributor in, right?
Yeah. I think probably what the problem is that Mac. The output's probably a problem.
And also, you're still playing
or it's
copyright music.
So you're saying it sounds bad, like technically speaking?
Well, that song.
I didn't know if you were saying the song was bad.
Gino said that there's something, that there's a channel missing or something.
It's possible, yeah.
And I have not ever noticed it until now. I'm like, come on, Gino, what are you talking about? And then I had to use these headphones, and there it is. But
Now you
anyways,
suffer like the rest
hey,
of us.
all of us are basically the person who runs JED TV and the person running WJOB are all sitting here right now. Let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks good up until Joliet, and as always, there's a stalled semi. It seems like there's a stalled semi going west on 80 every day. And then if you're coming up to Bishop Ford, that looks pretty good, but the Dan Ryan's bad right now, and just, take a ride on. You can hear us all the way to about 22nd Street. Then you got to switch over to the TuneIn app, and you can listen there. Skyway, Toll Road, Borman, I-65 are all moved along well. Adriana Alvarez with the news. With the weather.
I'm like, with the news. Not just yet, not for today. We're talking sports right now, I think. But currently right now at the Track and Vento Studios, it is 53 degrees. Today, we're still seeing those high 85-degree weather with lows of 61, very warm with intervals of clouds and sunshine. Friday, we get up until those high 88 degrees with lows of 64, perfect for some Friday night football. Very warm with some times of clouds and sun. And then Saturday, moving into Sunday, we're still in those 80-degree weather with lows of 60.
Thanks for coming in today.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk for like another 8 or about 20 seconds while I get this article? Here it is. I got it up now. Familiar face announced as Highland's new baseball coach. Can you get the Times article and show that picture of Sam scratching his back? It's not a huge.
I was gonna ask Sam.
It's probably adjusting my pants.
Did you pick this?
To be honest,
did you pick this photo?
It's not the most flattering photo.
Well, I mean, we don't have too many options. Usually, they don't take a ton of pictures of the assistant baseball coach throughout the.
Oh, there it is. There's Sam right there. It's like, is Sam a little trouble in the backside there?
I was probably pulling the pants up on the backside,
I'm pretty sure it's showing Sam scratching his backside, and they put it on the front page of the Times. That's pretty funny. After devoting 8 years to coaching within Highland's baseball program, Sam Michael is stepping into the head coaching role for the Trojans. The Highland School Board approved the hiring on Tuesday evening. Michael, a 2011 Highland grad, brings nearly a decade of coaching experience to a program that captured its first sectional title in 25 years last spring. I'm excited and relieved that we can concentrate on doing all the stuff we need to do this off season and get ready for spring. Now, here's what John Bogner said.
Correct.
Okay. Otherwise, he's gonna be at my front door. You don't say my last name bad again, or I'm just. Sam has been a diehard player, Highland player, coach since I met him. His heart is 100% in it for the Highland kids and community. He was an amazing assistant, and I know he will be an amazing head coach. Before you say anything, what do you make of that, Adriana Alvarez?
What do you mean, that he's head coach?
Yeah.
It's about time.
That's actually pretty good.
I
Thank
was
you.
like, yeah, it's about time.
Thank you, Sam. How do you feel?
Well, I think my quote was right. It's not something I'm excited about because I wanted it. You know, I've coached 11 years, and it was funny. John and I, Coach Bogner and I, had a conversation, I think in about year 2 or 3 of me being on staff with him, and there was somebody in the community who had told him that, you know, you need to keep an eye on that Sam Michael guy. He's going to come for your job one day. And he said that to me. He goes, and we were kind of half joking about it anyways, but I think he was looking for, you know, honesty from me. And I said, Coach, I've never wanted your job, and after coaching with you for 3 years, I absolutely don't want your job. After seeing what you have to deal with outside of the baseball, right? The parents, and we've been really fortunate. I've been coaching 11 years. The amount of conversations and I can't remember any altercations or anything like that. We've had some, you know, strongly worded emails or text messages from people and stuff like that, but that's been about the extent. Cowards who often can't say things to your face, and so they use, like kids do today, use the text message power, and then you see what happens. Somebody made that joke. Lamar Jackson got into an altercation in the NFL over the weekend with a fan, and they like pushed him because the guy was messing with his teammate on the side, and whoever was doing the color on the game said that's the texting and tweeting generation now, where they just think they can say whatever they want, and all of a sudden that person's right there, and they don't want to say anything anymore, you know? So we've been really fortunate where we haven't dealt with that, but even then, the emails and the texts were enough where I'm like, God, I don't want to do this. This isn't coaching. It's 80% managing paperwork and managing the different types of people that you have to deal with. And then there's about 20% where you're actually worried about your first and third coverage, what's going to happen on a bunt. Am I taking this pitcher out? Do I hit and run here and bunt there? You know, that's like 20% as the head coach. So I never wanted it. And to be honest, I said it in the article, and I said it to Grace, I wish I still lived in a world where I was the assistant and either one of the last 2 guys was still in charge. Not because I don't think I'm capable of making the decisions. Not because I don't think, quote unquote, I deserve to be the head coach or something like that. I mean, you put in enough time. I think my resume is good enough that I deserve the job at this point. But I much prefer to live in a world where Coach Bogner is the head coach or Zach's still in charge and we can work together and all that stuff. So I take the job because I think I'm definitely the most qualified person, I guess, left standing at this point to a certain degree of what our staff was 4 or 5 years ago. And that's not like, oh, I take it begrudgingly. I take it with a lot of excitement and feeling that we have some really talented players coming. But I also I don't want to have people think I'm an egomaniac and think that I really wanted this job, and behind the scenes I was working to get it, because that is the furthest thing from the truth.
Do you believe that, Adriana?
What?
This baseball dude watching games all day long, and does he ever, I mean, baseball is just kind of controls his life. Here we are trying to work. He has to put the Cardinals game on the
not in the last couple of years. Come on.
I was going to say, he didn't do that on Tuesday.
Yeah,
no. Not in the last 2 or 3 years. I won't. Nobody needs to see
Sam,
that.
all anybody has to do is, obviously, you're actually saying some of the same things that Pisker says, that he loves coaching but maybe doesn't love the other parts to it. But it is part of the game. But there's still that, I mean, I've seen you coach and be on the field, and I've seen you working on the field and, putting your lineups together and so forth. The passion reminds me of the guys that I've known at the high school level, Brian Jennings being one of them, and the late Bob Schinken, certainly Dave Pisker, Sal Aguilar before, the passion at which you go about this job, and it's not really a job. It's like, coaching kids in baseball or students in baseball. You can either call it a job or a passion or whatever, but it seems to be in your blood. And talk about that.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thought, and I was thinking about this because I had a feeling you might phrase a question in this kind of way. And, my dad had asked me this question probably multiple times over the years, but definitely within the last year or so, and he said something to the effect of, why coaching baseball in the very first part of it, but why does it have to be like here? Why Highland? Because the truth is, I've had other opportunities to go other places. I've had 3 or 4 different offers, and obviously I had to apply to those places.
And I did not want you to take those because I didn't think they would work well with running the sports network. just like Adriana going to her alma mater to coach cheerleading. That's great. It's close. It's right there. Everybody understands.
Aren't you glad I didn't go to like Valpo?
Exactly. Do not take these other jobs that are farther away. But anyways, go on. Talk about the answer to this question.
Well, I applied to them ultimately, and this is what I told people. And again, I try to be honest with guys. I've asked our players recently, have I ever knowingly told you a lie? Like, can you think of a time where, man, you lied right to my face? I might have said, I'm going to try to get you in, or if this happens, you're going to pitch, and then you ultimately didn't, or something like that. And genuinely, I was prepared for those situations, and they didn't happen. But if I ever looked you in the face and said something that was a lie, I try not to do that to anybody. You can't have respect from people. So what I've told everybody on those other jobs was, I took those interviews, especially the one most recently, because I had a feeling that there would be a time down the road where this was going to happen, where I would have to interview for this job. And I've known Ryan Harrington for years now, and he's been the AD since I've been a coach at Highland. And so that interview process is comfortable for me for the most part. And he didn't ask any softball questions or anything, but we know each other, so it's a little bit easier. But imagine if at the same time Zach was leaving, Ryan was leaving, and I wasn't prepared for an interview with somebody. I just thought, if Pies ever left, I'm going to take the job. They'll just give it to me, no problem. So I took those interviews with the idea of I need to be prepared. If I feel like I have to take this job, then I want to know what I'm doing. So back to your original question, to say all that, Highland, there's something about it, and what I've landed on with the answer is, and this is the same thing I try to do with our guys, and I try, again, because everybody can be an example. There are, as I talk about in my religion and my faith all the time, I go to church every Sunday to give myself a chance.
I thought it was to sing.
Well, I do that. Yeah, I give myself a little.
Do you ever hear him sing? Did you ever listen to that Sunday morning show?
Yeah, whenever I get into the car, I hear it, and I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's Sam singing.
Sam singing. But anyways, your faith is big to you.
Huge, yeah. And I do all that not because I think I'm better than anybody. I think that's a common misconception, especially of the Catholic Church today, is that all Catholic people think that they're like holier than thou and better than you. And that's why a lot of people left the Catholic Church. There were scandals, of course, that were a big part of all that stuff. But that is the biggest misconception to me, is that people who go to church think that they're better in any way. And I always say, I go so I can give myself a chance. So when you talk about being a role model, yeah, I think there's a lot of things I do really well in terms of just being a member of society. Like, I don't think I'm exceptional in any single skill or way. But in terms of this is what at least you want to do for your life and set yourself up, hopefully you've got something that separates you. I think I can teach that. And that's why I've stayed here, is because, of course, my parents were a huge part of me learning those skills. But always I can remember going through elementary school and especially elementary, but even a little bit in middle school or high school, they would ask you, like, I remember being in like third grade, here, you got to name 3 role models. Well, both my grandparents have been not in my life. My grandfathers have not been in my life. So that role model, that secondary outside of your dad, that person never existed for me, right? Like, I had some uncles who were kind of around and stuff like that, but we've never been the family that was super tight knit outside of the 5 of us. We went on the vacations all together. We always went on family bike rides, and we did a lot of stuff together. So we weren't always, Christmas, Thanksgiving for sure, but outside of that, I'm like, well, who are my role models? There was someone at church who I always went back on, but I honestly think I would always go back to when I was 10, my Little League coach, when I was 11, 12, Pat Vassar, Mike I named all these people yesterday because not because I want to score points, but because that is the truth, that those guys ultimately, I think, helped mold me into the person I am. And so that's always been my goal, is how can I, at the end of the day, how can someone leave me and say, yeah, he helped me be better at hitting a curveball or throwing a curveball or fielding a ground ball or getting a better jump on a fly ball to the gap, all those things for sure. But, when you're 23 years old and you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself about something, you're not going to remember how I taught you how to funnel a ground ball or what to do on a footwork on the double play. You're going to think about something I said to you. You're going to think about something I said about life to you. And hopefully it's a positive thing. And I think if you asked, 100 of my players from over the years, I would really hope at least 95% would say that, we left on having a really good relationship and That's why I do this, to be honest. I want to win, trust me. My goal is going to ultimately be win sectionals, find a way to get to victory field if we can ever do it. If we have a team good enough, then I need to help us try to get there. But if we don't, at the end of the day, my goal is how can we walk away with guys knowing that our staff cared more about them than anybody except for their parents. That's always my goal.
He's Sam Michael. He's a new baseball coach at Highland, and it's a big job. I mean, Highland's got a lot of baseball tradition. You mentioned some of those folks that have been big impacts on you, and I thought it was in the article, but I don't know where I saw you do that. I think it might have been in a Facebook post. Mm-hmm. But I saw a number of them. I didn't know that you were so close with Mark Kniezek. Did he ever mention that he and I grew up with each other, and that at one time
I think he tries to keep that private.
He does. I see him. Oh, I got so many Mark Kniezek stories. I'm like, he's like well respected in the Highland community and stuff. And I see him on your list, and I'm like, now I've got to poke some fun at that one. But Highland's kind of is a little bit like where I grew up in Munster, and that there is this tradition, and that there's a lot of Highland kids that are coming through the system, and they stay. And but you mentioned that it mentions in the article last year, and it says where Zach Pizer was the head coach, but everybody knows that you were a main driver with Zach Pizer, one of your best friends. It's been 25 years since Highland baseball won a sectional. That means that it's been kind of down. How do you make it not down?
Well, now it's been 0 years, but yeah.
I know that. And I went to the game because I wanted to see some history, and I wanted to see Block Stadium, which it's got to be the best field now in the region. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. Mm-hmm. But, what are your plans to kind of bring that prominence? When I went to high school, Highland was I remember standing as a sophomore shaking in my boots against Tim or Nick Sirkovich, one of the two, the lefty, throwing BBs at like upper 80s. And Highland coming to play was a big deal. And it's kind of, just hasn't been there with some of the other schools. How do you change that a little bit?
Well, the only thing I can do, and again, when you're a public school, you have to just kind of hope, and you have to hope that there's guys coming, and that's the good news. Is I would have taken the job anyways, right? Like, if we had decent players, if we had not so good players, I honestly believe that this current freshman class and the 8th grade class behind it is as good of back-to-back classes depth-wise as we've had in a long time. And I mean, I go back to 2017, the freshman class that I lucked into, that I got to coach, was full of guys who ultimately and I guess I'm going to use this word, tragically lost their senior season because of COVID. That was 7 guys deep for us that would have all started, and that class was the freshman class I coached. And we had 11 players on that team, and I pretty much played the same 9 guys every day because it was an easy decision. Like, all I had to do was shuffle out who's the pitcher and move them based on that. So I go all the way back to at least 2017 in terms of depth. Yeah, we've had classes that had 2 or 3 players that were really good in it. We've had classes that had 4 guys and 3 of them were studs. But I mean, there are 8 to 10 legitimate. That guy can definitely play varsity baseball one day and help us, not just be the once in a while guy playing left field. He can play a lot. So that's how you do it. And as a coach, your responsibility is, and it's an old chicken before the egg thing, right? Like, how can you get guys to stay if you don't win? And so when you haven't won a sectional in 25 years, it's not as easy of a sell. And so my goal was always, we have to get that away. That has to be wiped. And now that it is, you see, hey, that sectional is an opportunity. And then right behind that, you mentioned Sal. Sal and I talked about this a lot. And when he was still at Hanover, and he would say, hey, man, he goes,
Sal Radke? Sal Aguilar?
Yeah, and Sal and I would, yeah.
Sorry, that's for Sal, but anyways.
Sal and I would say, hey, man, you win that sectional, and all of a sudden, you're 7 innings away from playing in the semi-state, and all that takes, as long as you're solid in a game, all that takes is a bad bounce, or one pitch, or one hit to the gap, and you're going to semi-state. And I think guys don't realize that. Like, once you win the sectional, do you know how many teams are left across the state in your class? 16. You were part of the Sweet 16 of teams in Class 3A if you win the sectional. That's it. That's all that's left. And then you win, all of a sudden there's only 8 teams left. So that's my goal is we have to keep all these players here. I talked about that with Grace. The only thing I can do, we started the middle school baseball. The only thing I can do is try to have a great relationship with guys when they're in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and say, hey, where else would you rather play? You want to play with these guys and this staff, or you want to go somewhere else? And if you make that decision and you do go somewhere else, it's going to be really hard. We're going to make you really think about it because we're going to show you that, yeah, we're going to have a great time when we're here. We're going to have a lot of fun. When we're between the white lines, we're really going to play. But we're also going to win, and you want to be a part of that.
He's Sam Michael. He's the new head baseball coach at Highland. I think the timing's right. I would have opposed it a couple years ago. In that Sam runs the JED TV Sports Network, but he's been able to build it, and I think it's probably the right time where he has the right people assisting him, and this is all good news. Even when I talk to Harrington, it's just that's the way to. This is the natural progression. But Sam, you've built up a reputation as running the network and being in the games and kind of, I didn't keep you away from it, but I would not have wanted while we were building this thing. You couldn't have done both. I think you can do both now, but you're also coming into a time when the rules have changed. So now the importance, and we're going to talk about with this Doherty sitting over there, we'll talk to him next, but the importance of a coach has been elevated because kids can transfer anywhere they want at any time over the weekend, right? Because that's the new rule, and you don't have to sit. And that means that you have to make your facilities solid. You have to have the best coaches. You got to play the best schedules. Everything's been kicked up a notch. How do you navigate this new environment?
It's difficult. It's a lot of the stuff I just said, and to be clear about what that rule is, too, the accepting school has to play ball, right? Like, at Highland, we don't have open enrollment, so we don't have the opportunity to take anybody else. And so, as a coach, again, to be clear, and I know the article, and I'm not going to tell anybody how to write, and I like Grace a lot, obviously, but I read it, and I'm kind of thinking, man, that almost sounded like I was making this sort of claim that we're going to go out and get people. That's not the claim, number one. And the second part of that is even if we decided that that's what we're going to do, which would be highly illegal, we can't. Like, there is no way to get a guy into Highland without them living in Highland unless they got into – we did have open enrollment through the middle school a few years ago, and guys could have gotten grandfathered in and stayed. We do have a couple of those. Actually, one of your good friends, Dave Warple's grandson, is, I think, going to be a pretty good player for us. So,
well, I guess also what it boils down to is that if your kid's really good in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and you're like, I don't really care where I live, there's plenty of parents that will plop somewhere because of the high school baseball coach.
For sure.
If the kid has college potential. And quite frankly, right now, the number one, as I could see, the number one sport in the region that's getting high-level Division I scholarships is baseball, followed right by softball. So the coach in baseball is a big deal of who you're going to have. And I know there's dads right now and moms listening right now. They're like, man, I wonder if my kid should play for him. And maybe just stay away from the legal stuff. But it is a very competitive atmosphere right now for the top players. And there's a lot of different ways for them. Basically, if you're in 6th, 7th grade and you're really good and you're throwing it right now, the dad's got to make a decision. Am I in the right town for my kid right now? And sometimes they just move.
No, you're 100% right. And I've tried to tell that to people for years. Coaching makes a huge difference. I mean, a huge difference. And a coach isn't a miracle worker. Like, they're not going to walk in and make, wine out of water and give them the loaves of bread and fish to eat, right? They're not Jesus. But at the end of the day, a great coach in basketball can add 2 or 3 wins with just fundamentals, handling the ball, not turning the ball over. Same with football. In baseball, you field it, you throw it, you catch it. You can win a lot of games in high school.
Hackett, as Doherty's going to say, gives them an extra 2 or 3 wins.
Oh, at least.
Bazia is you look at Radke the same way at Knox. And certainly Pishker in baseball, and certainly Schinken when he was alive and coaching.
Yeah.
And, he was there when a friend of mine. But the world has changed, and it is about to change in big ways in high school sports in general. I mean, what is that going to do to baseball?
It's a good question. Baseball is tough up here as it is with the weather, and so does it ultimately hurt us, right? Like, my fear as just a Northwest Indiana person would be every year, early March or late March, early April, when we start our official games, a lot of teams around here go to Tennessee or go to at least Indianapolis or Southern Indiana or wherever it might be warmer, because the truth is it's really hard to play here the first week and a half, 2 weeks of our season. And I always think, man, it's a huge advantage for these Indianapolis teams. It's a huge advantage for Evansville or Bloomington, because they're not worried as much about this weather. They don't have the wind coming off Lake Michigan to deal with and make it. I mean, there are days when, it's 47 or 48, 50 degrees, and you're like, it is absolutely miserable. I'd rather it be 42 with no wind, because we know how Lake Michigan. You go play at Maryville, go play at some of these other places. Whiting. I mean,
Whiting's
think
worse.
about that. I mean, it is. It's
Still,
crazy.
Even though
Chicago can be tough. I mean, some of these places are absolutely miserable, and you're standing there as the coach. Morton. Oh, God,
you don't realize how close.
Yeah.
You don't realize how close Morton is to the lake
and Clinton Avenue. Yeah. So you're sitting there, and as a guy who lives this, there have been times early in the season where I'm like, this is the last place in the world I want to be right now. It is that miserable. Let's find a way to score more runs than them and get the heck out of here, because this is awful. Nobody wants to do this. So I get a little bit nervous about the idea of, man, why would I sit up here and be miserable when I could go, hell, I'm not even talking about staying in Indiana, like go to Florida, go to Texas. If it really is the Wild West like that, and guys can just pick up and go, and people have the, of course you got to have the financial wherewithal to do it. But, man, would I run out of Indiana? I hope not. I hope these guys are all going to stay right here. I'd rather play against really talented guys than have them all leave. So,
hey, Adriana, can you pay attention on this question? She is a cheerleading coach now, so and she did it without clearing it from me.
Oh, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. So I want to know, and people that are our affiliates, and they've invested a lot in us, and we've invested a lot in them. I mean, there's tons of high school athletic directors that are listening right now. How are you going to tell them that you're still going to give, you're going to be able to manage Highland Baseball and manage JED TV Sports Network? How are you going to do that?
Like in terms of fairness? Because
no, I mean, are you going to be? No.
Okay.
Fair. We know you're going to be fair. I mean, how are you going to manage your time?
Well, to be real, I don't think it's going to be that much of a change from the last 2 years. I mean, Zach did a lot, there's no doubt, and especially behind-the-scenes stuff in terms of dealing with the paperwork and the fundraising and all that stuff. And then, we split the baseball part together a lot, and I spent probably this time he spent on that paperwork, I spent on the field. So the best answer I can give is I have to find a staff, and it's proved a little challenging so far. And you go back to coaching, and there's just not as many people who are interested in coaching as there used to be, and there's a lot of reasons for that. The seasons are longer, the stipends never changed, and you're coaching 10 to 12 months out of the year as opposed to 4 or 5. But that's the only way you can survive in this job, period. If I wasn't doing this, if I was teaching all day or whatever my job would be, selling insurance, whatever it could have been, the only way you can survive and balance your time is the baseball part has to have great help.
All right, so I wanted to shamelessly plug for that. I think Sam is looking for a baseball staff, and he's got some people in mind. But if you want to contact him, it's just contact him at sam@jedtv.com. We have a deep staff here. Joe Cimino, Adriana, do you think that he could handle many of Sam's duties when it comes to the spring?
If Sam trains him and everything, I'm pretty sure he could pick it up.
He's one of many, right?
Yeah.
He's thinking of going to grad school, but let's just take one call and then we'll have to move it along. But so basically, to finish that, I mean, you're looking that you're going to rely a little bit on your assistant baseball coaches and stuff like that, and your assistants here.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, that's the plan anyways. I mean, we do so much
I don't think people understand, and Adriana, you do, in that Sam is not that easy on the people, not nasty, but expects a lot.
I was going to
right?
say, what you mean? Sam's a
He
delight.
expects a
Says
lot.
good morning every time I walk in. I'm like,
No,
"Hi,
he
Sam."
expects a lot from those who work here. And how has that paid off? A lot of people say, well, oh, look at all these people going to Big Ten Network. Look at all these people going to Barstool Sports. And then we have others that have moved on. They don't really work for me. They work for Sam. Mm-hmm. And that is I guess, a compliment to you. And the compliment also goes that you have chosen Rob. You've chosen Sonny. Mulaney was here. And you have these people that have come up, and you have expected a lot out of them, but all of a sudden they go interview someone, and they're like, oh, you could do that, you could do that. Well, that's partly because you have pushed them. And, I don't know if people really understand that. They're always like, oh, Jed, you're doing this. I go, he didn't work for me. He worked for Sam.
Clip that. You could play it for a couple of parents who
We'll just leave that continuously.
Take a phone call, and then
I'm just pushing your kid. I want him to be better.
Yes.
Don't forget.
All right, go ahead. Hey, you're on the air. How are you?
Morning, gentlemen and ladies. I just wanted to wish Sam a hearty congratulations. Baseball is obviously something that's in his blood. I mean, we know how much over the years he's volunteered his time for even something as simple as maintaining the fields, and I want to say congratulations. And Sam, obviously you can't say anything to this comment, but I'm seeing down the road with the way that coaches move around from high school to high school and everything, Dave Fisher's going to end up retiring, and you're going to end up going over to Andran.
Hang up on this guy, will you?
Jeez.
That's funny.
We have another caller.
All right, take one more. Hey, you're on the air. What's up?
Good morning. That was a tough call to follow there with that last comment.
Did you, spill your coffee on that
one? I almost choked on it. Congratulations, Sam. Well deserved, a long time coming, and a true Highland guy who's put all the time in there as you have, and just wanted to wish you best of luck on the head baseball job at Highland.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that.
This is Bush, Dave Sitkowski. Sitkowski, we talked at length why baseball is so good around here right now and how competitive it is and will be. Now that Sam Michael's in the game, it's going to get even more competitive. But we'll do that on a different level. We're going to bring you in on a podcast and understand why baseball and softball are so good. So get off the phone, right?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Hey, hang up.
Hang up. That's how
leave.
Wait, Sitkowski's really nice, and he calls in and everything. You ever see him coaching?
Of course.
Oh,
my against
gosh.
him. Yeah.
He has made some Sean Manea. I mean, there's so many people have played
really
for him.
Good players.
But he's so nice, Dave Sitkowski. No, he's not.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him on a field rip on an umpire or rip on, rip on his own kids?
Todd Elias texted me yesterday and told me congratulations, and he said, hopefully I don't have to throw you out. And I said, well, Todd, that's totally up to you. And he goes, no, that's up to you. I go, well, then that's going to be easy because I'm perfectly well behaved all the time. I mean, that would never have to be a consideration, right?
He's Sam Michael. He runs JED TV Sports Network. We didn't even talk about that, but it's growing leaps and bounds. I won't even talk about some of the other stuff behind the scenes that are going on. But we're Adriana Alvarez kind of running WJOB, Sam Michael running JED TV Sports Network. It's you folks in the region have some amazing talent. And Ryan Harrington and the Highland School Board agreed, and they put Sam in charge of Highland, and he's going to be going against Dave Pishker for however long Pishker wants to be there. And I love that. This is beautiful. Congratulations, Sam.
Thank you.
All right, John Doherty up next, the voice and face of the region. That's awful. I apologize for that. That's Adriana.
This is just random stuff we're finding on YouTube. We'll find something better eventually. But we have to keep it non-copyright if we want to not be shut off of YouTube. And I think the viewers will appreciate not getting shut off of YouTube because they're very much enjoying the chats.
Yeah, you can chat on the bottom of it there. And Adriana's going to, I'm going to finish this up. And Sam and I are going to go to a congratulatory breakfast. And Adriana's going to take you home until 9 o'clock. But I got a little segment to do here, and I'll be honest, she can even explain. You can call in and ask her at that time. I mean, it sounds a little bit unconventional, but, you know, we've lost some really talented people either by death or by getting hired elsewhere, and Adriana has just kind of moved up and is running most of WJOB, if not all of it, and I'm going to be assisting her a little bit, but she's going to take us home. But the thing that Adriana is pushing, and I have no opinion on it, and that is to have a working YouTube channel. She can explain it if you want to ask her. She's going to be on at about 8:10, 8:12, and you could talk to her because Sam and I are going to go to breakfast. So anyways, 294 around the city is bad through the Bridgeview area and where I-55 is, so allow extra time to O'Hare. 80 going east and west had a big accident in downtown Joliet, still causing problems. The Bishop Ford is surprisingly light, but all of that traffic has been pushed forward to the Dan Ryan, which is not surprisingly very bad. So just allow some extra time. Skyway, Toll Road, Barman, I-65, they're all moving along well. In terms of the weather, Adriana?
Currently, right now, at the Shack and Van Til Studios, it's 60 degrees. Today, we are seeing highs of 85 degrees and lows of 61 degrees. Pretty sunny, a little bit of clouds here and there. Friday, we're seeing highs of 88 degrees, lows 64, perfect for some Friday night football. Very warm clouds and some sun. And then on Saturday, we're seeing highs of 81 degrees and lows of 63 degrees. And you keep those 80-degree weathers all the way until about Wednesday. So enjoy the heat and before it goes back into those low 70s.
This segment is being recorded on September 8th of 2025. If you're listening elsewhere on WJOB, the TuneIn app, or even on the JED's Journal podcast, we are talking with John Doherty. He's been a giant in sports medicine and physical therapy for several decades, and it's been a long time since we've been on together.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, I guess we missed last month. And
I saw you the other day.
Where?
You cut me off.
Did I? That was nice of me.
Yeah, that was nice of you. I'm like at the corner of Fran Lynn and Columbia, dooley-doo. I'm looking at Buknowski's office up there, and I go, I wonder what he's doing. And then some guy just kind of hung a left in front of me, and I look, and I go, I only know one dude with a crew cut, and there it is. He's John Doherty. He has reluctantly become one of my friends, so I can
reluctantly, yes,
make fun of him. But he used to come in on a regular basis, and we did a podcast and so forth. But there's a bunch of things that we want to hit in terms of what's going on. High school football has gotten going, volleyball, soccer, they're all in full swing. It doesn't have to do with one of your columns, but I think that when you left over there working at Dr. Lauren Brown and you went over to community to start a concussion clinic, I questioned your career choices at the time. I'm like, it's not really that big a deal. Concussions, really? I mean, maybe one or two a year, and I'm like every other hard-headed guy. I've had several concussions, both as a football player and as a boxer and working in the Board of Trade, getting hit in the head a couple times. And I get all of that, but you really brought it into people's consciousness, and I think it really kind of I think it really saved some kids from, they need to be pulled out. There's all sorts of concussion protocols. It's an awareness factor. But I was thinking about this. I went to a game the other day. I go, I don't see a physician down there. And I saw that kid take that hit. Nobody came over and talked to him. Nobody came over and looked at him or anything. And I go, that's the kind of hit that is a concussion-like hit. I've taken those hits as a running back and stuff. And I just wondered, I go, has the awareness about concussions kind of ebbed down a little bit?
I don't think the awareness is ebbed. I think it's fatigue. I think there's concussion. I don't think there's concussion fatigue. I know there's concussion fatigue. People are tired of hearing about it and want to ignore it, even though they shouldn't.
All right, for whatever you want to call it, there is less concern about it in my, not concern, it's just not top of mind.
I think people are concerned about it, but they're tired of hearing about it and they want to ignore it. They want to ignore it, even though.
Why do they want to ignore it?
Because it's an inconvenient truth that head trauma has long-term dangers to the brain, no matter what the source of it is, whether it's a football game, a soccer game. Actually, there was a study published just last week about head trauma to Navy pilots because of the trauma their brains go through from landing a plane on an aircraft carrier.
That's a major force it hits.
Yeah.
You know, I guess, well, we're just talking about it theoretically, and it's like, oh, big, whatever, there's less awareness, but
I don't think it's less awareness. It's just people just don't want to hear about it anymore.
Yeah, well, for whatever reason, what the main effect is that kid, that student, or man or woman.
Was it a varsity game or
it was a varsity football game. Yeah. And I was like, dude, man, I want to go down and do the protocol with him. But he just came over to the sidelines, sat there, nobody did anything. And I'm like, I'm not going to mention what team or whatever, but I think that's fairly regular unless there's a big moment. I think back 8 years ago or 6 years ago when you were sitting on somebody's sideline, somebody takes a hit like that, you're over there, you're spying them out.
Yes.
And they're trying to avoid you. Because
that was always the giveaway. A kid trying to avoid me. Why are you avoiding me? And that would be the reason.
Because they're a little bit. They've gotten their bell rung or whatever. Right. Yeah. So
one kid would be trying to avoid me, and his teammates would be pulling. Go check him out.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, so they'd be giving him up.
Yes,
because they cared about him.
Exactly.
And that's ultimately my point. Is that I kind of wish that was the case then. I got my bell rung so many times in so many different situations. I remember getting my bell rung and then coming in, and John Friend said would never give me the play because he thought I was dyslexic, and he'd go 20, and he was right. He was the first guy. He goes, I give you the play, and it's supposed to go to the right side. You gave it to the quarterback on the left side, or sometimes I'd have to play quarterback and back it up. And he goes, you always go into the wrong side. Well, a couple of times he'd give me the play. I had my bell rung. I'm going both ways, so I'm not playing every play. He goes, get in there, tell him to run, blah, blah, blah. And then I get up there and I'd forget the play.
Sure.
I can't remember. And Bill Howarth would be like, well, what do we do now? Yeah. I'm not calling timeout. We'll just think of a play.
Right, yeah.
And then
call your own play.
Can you imagine coming over to John Friend and explain to him that you forgot the play? Well, part of that is getting your bell rung, right?
Absolutely.
And I think that the long-term damage is what we're up against here.
If
we're not addressing kids on a football sideline, soccer is the worst. I mean, this kid heads the ball or they knock heads. They don't have helmets on. I mean, that's just as bad as any. Cheerleading with Adriana, you need to listen to this now that you're a coach.
She knows.
Okay, she's doing her homework right now.
She knows.
But
we've talked about it before.
You've talked about concussions with John Doherty?
Yeah, we have.
Why?
On the air.
How would that come up?
Because of her background in cheerleading. We've talked about it.
Well, she's coaching now.
Yeah, surprisingly, thank God, but I've never had a concussion while doing cheerleading, even though I was switched between throwing people into the air, and when they land, if they land wrong, you have to catch them, and you catch them, make sure they don't hit the ground. And I've been also the one that's been tossed into the air and had my fair share of trying not to hit the ground, but sometimes it's inevitable. It's going to happen, but you have to keep your head up to make sure you don't smack it onto the mat.
Yeah.
It's a little scary, but it's what happens.
Do you know the concussion protocol yet?
Yeah. Usually, are you saying when an athlete hits the ground and if
that's gonna happen? I know you guys do a lot of stuff. Kind of.
Yeah. Are you saying when they?
Well, I mean,
hit the ground,
I don't know what you're. What are you supposed to do, John? If you're a coach and somebody hits their head, and you're like, man, I got to check this out. What are you supposed to do? You go over and do what?
Well, the first thing you do is you ask them how they are, and they may give themselves up instantly. I got a headache. I'm dizzy. And you look at their eyes, and you see if they can walk a straight line, and preferably a coach brings in an athletic trainer.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
the trainer
doesn't happen anymore.
The
trainers aren't there anymore, right?
Oh, athletic trainers are there.
All right, but at a lot of practices, they're not. Okay.
When there's one athletic trainer at a high school, and there's 10 teams practicing, they can't be everywhere at once. You're right.
So what? Or say it's a Little League game or a Pop Warner or something. There's no trainer there. I mean, how do you look at the kid and say, determine that they're having a concussion?
Well, if they have that glassy-eyed look, they've got a concussion. And that's probably the best giveaway for a lay person. If they complain about a headache after getting hit in the head, they have a concussion. If they complain about being dizzy, they have a concussion. If they go in the wrong direction, one of the best giveaways for me for years was a kid would get hit in a pile and come out of the pile and go to the wrong sideline or head towards the wrong sideline. If they stagger coming out of a hit to the head, then they're concussed.
Is there anything like, hey, count the 10? Count.
Oh, there's all sorts of things we can do. We ask them to count backwards. We ask them to count up by skipping a certain amount of numbers.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15.
Exactly. Ask them to
3, 6,
and then you're
6.
And then you're in trouble.
7,
ask them
8. Nine.
Ask them to remember 3 words. Come back 5 minutes later. But the key is with a lay person, the best advice is when in doubt, sit them out and then have a medical professional evaluate the child.
You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
When in doubt, sit them out.
Usually that happens. We'll ask them, like, if a stunt goes wrong, we ask them, are you okay? And depending, like, we see what happens. We see what goes wrong unless they're going different places and we are unable to see exactly what had happened. But usually we have them sit out, the same protocols as he was saying. And our athletic trainer over there at Bishop Knoll, she's usually pretty good with, like yesterday we had practice and there were about 5-6 teams practicing, but she was pretty good of like, okay, I know this sport's practicing. She was helping somebody. We sent somebody to a trainer yesterday, but it was for allergy medicine because one girl is allergic to grass as we're practicing outside. And I was like, oh, you poor soul. I don't know how you do football season, but okay. But it's just like simple things like that. And if somebody gets hurt real bad or we don't know for sure, we make sure we have them sit out until we're either able to get them checked out or we're confident that they're able to go back out there and they're not going to injure themselves further.
Okay, speaking of injuries, I know there's your more recent column in the Times. It's now been 40 years that John Doherty's been writing in the NWI Times. But you wrote a rather interesting one about the Caitlin Clark injury. And, of course, that you started out like this. Idle thoughts while Caitlin Clark and WNBA TV ratings sit idle for the remainder of the WNBA season. Before we talk about her actual injury, I've never seen one person affect a league like that. It's
right.
crazy.
Yeah.
But what is? Tell us what you think is going on with her.
Well, she probably injured that adductor or groin muscle up high in the tendon rather than in the muscle, and the blood supply to tendon is much poorer than it is to muscle, so it takes longer to heal. And is there a partial tear there? They aren't saying. If there's a partial tear there, that may never fully heal. And then the debate becomes whether or not with a tendon injury like that you have surgery. And the consensus among orthopedic surgeons is if it's an isolated groin strain and it's just one tendon, you have multiple groin muscles, you just leave it alone and let the inflammation go away and the discomfort go away and then rebuild the strength. However, if it involves damage to surrounding abdominal muscles, and then you have a sports hernia as well, so there's damage above and below the bone where the tendon attaches for the groin muscle up high in the pelvis, it attaches to the bone from below. You have abdominal muscles attaching from above, and if there's a tear there, then the recommendation is to repair the whole area. So, does she have a sports hernia? I don't know. They aren't saying. They just are saying that she's taking a long time to get over this groin strain. Not unusual, and it can be a career-altering injury.
You know, it
ruined Tim Anderson's career. No
I was going to
question.
say, talk about Tim Anderson, because this sounds very similar to him.
Yeah, he had suffered a groin strain, I think, in 2020, and then suffered another one in 2022. And at the time, he was hitting .356 when he got the second groin strain. He was never the same, and he's out of baseball now.
I mean, it's almost like a calf strain. You know, a calf strain is like...
Who's that with the Cubs that's out with a calf strain right now? One of the Cubs is out with a calf strain.
I mean, people
they
are
take
like,
a long time to get
It's
get
long
well.
time. I fought that playing in all the rec leagues around here, and it really boiled down to I had to sit out for a long time, and I now do the yoga and the height yoga. That's the only thing that cured that thing, is that complete stretching, and then when you go to play, that you gotta really stretch out. I mean, really give it a different level. So let's just say she is able to build up the other more muscles in her groin, and you don't realize, but it's attached to the stomach, and she's able to build that up, and I'm sure there's scientific workouts to do that. She's able to do that. What is her risk of that happening again?
Pretty high. Groin strains tend to recur. It's exactly what happened with Anderson. The biggest risk factor for a groin strain is a previous groin strain, and so that will be an issue for her. I think the biggest issue for Caitlin Clark is the WNBA needs to enforce the rules of the game when it comes to all their players, particularly Caitlin Clark, because they've allowed her to become a human pinball on that basketball floor, and there's no, in my mind, adequate discipline for the players that are committing flagrant fouls for whatever reason they're doing it against Caitlin Clark.
And you're echoing Larry Bird came out, and he was very vocal about this. He goes, what are you guys doing? You know, I mean, this is your golden goose,
yeah,
you're killing it.
Yeah.
Hey, one other one. Talk about Micah Parsons, and you know what
he had a sore back.
Yeah,
and it was cured by $180 million. Pure and simple. He didn't have a sore back. You couldn't disprove that he had a sore back. They came up with a diagnosis that can't be confirmed or denied on an MRI. So he's got this sore back, and they give him some medication, and maybe he needs an injection. But I'm sure the MRI wasn't really showing anything. And as I said, this facet joint sprain, an MRI doesn't show whether or not you have a facet joint sprain. The only way to diagnose it is with a pain-killing injection. If the injection kills the pain, yeah, you've sprained the joint. But miraculously, as soon as he signs with the Packers, he's 100%, and he looks like he's 100%.
He does?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you watch him?
Yeah, he's that good. Yeah, I mean, you sound like a true Bears fan questioning the Packers, but is that part of this? You're a Patriots fan, right?
I'm a Patriots fan, yeah.
You didn't want to say that out loud, did you?
No, I'm happy to say that.
You're a Celtics fan?
Celtics fan, Bruins fan, Red Sox fan.
You know, my my daughter married a guy from the East Coast, and she dresses him always preppy. And I'm like, why are you dressing him like an East Coast prep dude? You going to a clam bake? You know, are you a Celtics fan now? And I asked the little kid, I go, take this off. Take this, like, polo and nice shorts off of him, and let's give him a ratty T-shirt and some, ratty pants, and let's put it on like a good Midwestern kid, not like an East Coast kid, because that's how they carry themselves. You've been able to amalgamate into the region pretty well, don't you think? Are you a region rat now?
I would say I am, yeah. Would you say I am? You're a better judge than I am.
I don't know. You're a Celtics fan, right?
No,
Patriots?
I'll always be a Boston fan, yeah.
And a Red Sox fan?
And a Notre Dame fan.
You know, it's odd that you say that because, like, my daughter married a guy from Brooklyn, and her best friend married a guy from California. And then I see him, and I'm like, how is it, guys, moving into the region? And then another one of them married a guy. I forget where he's from, but he's from out of the area. So like 3 girls that went to school together, married guys and brought them back to the region. And they're like, hey, man, did everybody grow up here? And it's so hard to crack the friend code here and to be accepted. Did you feel that when you first came here?
No, I was fortunate. I married Sue from Calumet City, and her friends accepted me, and I was blessed to be able to run in those circles right from the start.
Oh, look at you. Hey, he's John Doherty. Thanks for coming. Thanks for waiting. Sorry.
Sure, great news about Sam. Congratulations to him.
You know, I want your opinion on something.
Sure.
Because it hasn't happened yet, but when the state legislature pressured the IHSAA to allow transferring at any time, and the IHSAA said, all right, you don't need to make a law. We'll just do this. And now they're allowing everybody to transfer there's certain guidelines, but up until your senior year, you can basically go here and go there. How does that change high school sports?
It adds to the chaos that we're seeing at the college level. My question is, it will certainly be easier for a student to transfer from a public school to a private school. But to transfer from one public school to another public school is easier said than done. The superintendent of the school district losing that student isn't going to want to give up the tax revenue for that student. And I believe still a superintendent can stop that transfer.
So are we setting up conflicts at time between parents and kids and all, and maybe coaches too, but probably not coaches
and school administrations? Yeah, we're setting up conflicts. And if you're a coach who's perceived as stealing other school districts' athletes, then you'll be shunned and blackballed, and I think it's creating more problems than it solves.
What? That's the problem?
I think it is. I think it is a problem where you'll have, and the other thing is now where are we with NIL at the high school level? I think this will help promulgate NIL payments to athletes at the high school level. We'll pay you to transfer.
Sam's right out there. I hear this all the time from him.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the NCC as a conference, I mean, this is kind of a precursor to that. Like, how do you, I mean, we'll probably be some of the first because the NCC network is really a leader for the state on getting everybody together and trying to make the decisions for streaming your video and promoting the schools in the NCC. But I've been honest with the athletic directors. I think that's the next step. We're going to have a meeting on how we're going to handle the NILs because some of these local places, who knows, even Powers Health, maybe one of them, say, well, we would like to, sponsor this athlete and have this athlete.
I don't see Powers Health.
I don't see Powers. I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry. But eventually someone's going to do this and they're going to want it and they're going to test it.
Right.
And
it's happening in other states.
Oh, it's happening big time.
It's happening.
But they're going to test it here.
Yeah.
We're pretty good candidates here at the JED TV Sports Network because all these, there's big viewership and big athletes that are on. I mean, we're going into the baseball season. That's probably the biggest one. And what do you do when someone says, "Hey, this kid will sponsor, spokesperson for our product or service, and we want to do that, and I don't think you can stop us." Now, what do you do? Kid wants the money. Yeah. The business wants the exposure, pay the kid, and they want to put it on the spot that they're advertising on, and they want to use that. I don't know what that answer is, and I hope that I'm not the test case for that, but someone's going to be the test case.
We're going to find out. I think we're going to find out sooner rather than later.
I know where you're thinking about too. There's going to be a test case. By the way, I think that I want to let you guys know that I forget the kid's name at Knox High School, but he's 100 yards away from being the second leading rusher in Indiana history.
Oh, wow.
And we plan on doing his game on October 3rd. We've talked to the athletic director. Knox is coached by Russ Radke, so there'll be that added storyline. And let me get the kid's name so it's right. It's Miles McLaughlin.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and I think he had 436 yards and 9 touchdowns last week. And
is Russ still running the wishbone down there?
I don't know what he's running. I ran into Russ, and he's like, man, you got to put Miles on TV and all that and the radio. And so I'm like, okay, we'll do that. We'll send somebody down there. If Russ asks, you just do it. I mean, he's kind of like me, kind of like you. He's enough of a friend of mine that I can make fun of him. And so every once in a while, you got to honor that friendship. And we're going to put Miles on TV and see what happens. But how do you score 9 touchdowns, right?
That's hard. That's hard to do. There's only so many possessions in a game, and I don't know what the score was. Was it a close game?
No, it wasn't a close game. I forget what the number was, but it made it all the way to Sports Illustrated.
Yeah,
and
faces in the crowd.
And it's kind of he had 400 in week 3. He had 436 yards and 9 touchdowns to lead the Knox High School Redskins over Culver Academy 72-24. He's John Jordy. We're going to let him digest that. Listen to Adriana. She's going to hold it while Sam and I go to breakfast. And then I'll be back at 9 for Mastering Local Marketing, and at 9:05, Mastering Local Marketing. Then I'll be at 10:05. I will be here for Limbwalkers. Nope. Weezer podcast.
I think it's just Weezer this week. I can check really quickly.
So I'll be on until about 11, and I have 2.
Yeah, Weezer. No Limbwalkers.
I got to go walk a dog, and my sister is in from the East Coast. She lives on Long Island, and she has lived there long enough that she has a slight Long Island accent, even though she grew up on Madison Avenue in Munster.
Where did she live in Long Island?
She lives right outside of Northport. Or I think it is Northport. Yeah, so it's her husband is got that Long Island accent, and Long Island, he wears the preppy clothes. He's got a boat. You know, we went out there once and went to a clam bake. And
it's all good stuff.
It's all good stuff, but I get to make fun of her too today. All right, guys. I'll be back hopefully Tuesday with Verley. And tomorrow, Kuziak is just raring to go. So, stick around for Adriana. Stick around for me later. And then keep it locked on to 12:30 a.m. WJOB.
Good morning, everyone. There you go. Yep, I am on. I couldn't hear myself for a quick second. There we go. Good morning, everyone. You're listening to the morning show on WJOB, 12:30 a.m., 104.7 FM in Hammond, Indiana. You're also watching live on the YouTube streams that I gotta pull up pretty quickly. And there we go. Fixing up the cameras and everything. So let's take a look at traffic and weather before we get into today's topics, which I didn't know I was going to be talking on the air today for about 45 minutes, but that's okay. We're first going to take a look at traffic. Traffic in the Northwest region is looking pretty good. You're going to have a little bit of traffic right there on 90 going east up there by Willow Creek. Just a little bit, but not too much. Looking into the city, we're seeing that there is quite a bit of traffic right there. Let's see here if I can. On I-57 South up to 94 West, you're going to have a lot of heavy traffic going that way. Stevenson Expressway going north, you're seeing that traffic there on South Central Avenue. And then Eisenhower Expressway going east and west is looking pretty heavy as well. But I'm not seeing any traffic accidents. But if there is one, don't hesitate to call in. 219-845-1100 is the number. Let's take a look at weather. It is a false fall, ladies and gentlemen, for this weekend. You're seeing highs of 67 degrees. Currently, right now, at the Shack Evento Studios, it is 67 degrees. So we're seeing highs of 85 degrees, lows of 61 degrees. Friday into Saturday, those high 80s. Friday is perfect night for football. The reason why I keep saying that is because Bishop Noll this week has their homecoming game. They are going against Calumet Central Patriots, I believe. So their game is this upcoming week. This coming Friday, which I'm super excited for. We're practicing for the cheerleaders, their homecoming routine, and it's looking pretty good. And I'm just excited to see what these girls are going to do throughout the season. Saturday and Sunday, we got those high 80s and in the 63 degrees. A little thunderstorm moving forward into Saturday and Sunday, but not too bad now. It's a little bit warmer. And 85 degrees, and I'm over here wearing sweaters because it's so cold in the studio, but I'd rather have it freezing cold than be warm. Before we get into topics, we do got a phone call, so let's take that right now. Morning, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Miss Andrina. Could you tell Jim Dedelow for me, if it's possible, within your power, if he could please bring back Captain Flashback from 5 a.m. till 6 a.m. You know, I was once talking to him about a little bit. If he can't do that, maybe he could alternate it, have Captain Flashback one week, Monday through Friday from 5 to 6, then have the old recorded WJOB broadcast, and then the following week, Captain Flashback from Monday to Friday, 5 to 6. Does that seem like a pretty good idea to you?
I'll bring it up to him. I have not heard the Captain Flashback, so...
Yeah, I missed that. I haven't heard that for a long time. Yeah.
I'll bring it up to him.
I was trying to talk to Jim Dedelow about it, but, he less than half listened to me. And if I'm lucky, some days he only half listened to me if I'm lucky. But if you ask for me, you get his undivided attention, 100%. You know what I mean, more or less?
Yeah, I'll run it by him.
Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you. Have the rest of the safe day. Remember, safety first. Bye.
Yep, bye-bye. All right, I've never heard of the Captain Flashback. I might have to look into the archives for that one. But yeah, let's take a look into our topics for today. So I was unable to listen to the morning show this morning, as you guys could probably tell. I am running on very little sleep, but that's okay. It is also just because I stayed up a little bit. But I've been hearing stuff that's happening in the news now. I was on by myself on Thursday. And if you miss those that live stream, go ahead and go check it out. Of course, that was going to be a kind of tough show, mainly because, yes, that was September 11th, but then also so many things were happening in the media, and so much was just going on between the chaos in the world, and the chaos still continues. So they might have talked about this earlier into the program, but if you're like me and like to sleep in just a little bit, you may have missed it. So I'm gonna just pull up what I know that's been going on. I know there's so much stuff going on in the world, but these are the main things that have been standing out to me within like the last 24 hours. So As we know, ABC has decided to pull the Jimmy Kimmel Live show, and the WGA has put out a statement to that, and they said the right to speak our minds and to disagree with each other, to disturb even is at heart. To disturb even is very heart of what means to be a free people. It is not to be denied, not by violence, not by the abuse of government power, nor by acts of corporate cowardness. As a guild, we stand united in opposition to anyone who uses their power and influence to silence the voices of writers or anyone who speaks in dissent. If free speech applies to only ideas we like, we needn't have bothered to write it into the Constitution. What we have signed onto, painful as it may be at times, is the freeing agreement to disagree. Shame on those in government who forget this founding truth. As for our employers, our worlds have made you rich. Silencing us impoverishes that whole world. The WGA stands with Kimmel and his writers. So I saw that, and I was kind of happy that they put out a statement like that, but they were still, in a sense, respectful in a matter, because you can see so many things put out in different statements, and you can tell that it is, in a sense, threatening and or very disrespectful. So that was one that as I saw that, I was like, okay, so that one was a little bit respectful, but the thing that they took him off the air for, if I'm not mistaken, and this is the clip that I saw, was that they were just asking him, they brought up the tragedy that happened on Thursday, and they said, now we're going to go to President Trump and ask him how he's handling it. And it just goes to the clip where the reporter is asking him, and Trump is basically just like, yeah, I'm fine. They're doing the work on the ballroom, which we've been asking for so many years. So it just like continued on with life. But I think Kimmel afterwards made a joke about that here or there, and then continued on with the rest of the programming. That's what I saw. I don't know if that's how it all went down originally, but as watching that, I was like, that's what you're going to get pulled off the air for? Like, I understand don't joke about certain things. I get it. But it wasn't as if, like, he said something so blatantly outlandish. Now, to others, that may seem blatantly outlandish. But nighttime hosts are supposed to have that, they have that raunchy comedic aspect. Like, that's the reason why they're late night shows, is because it continues on to late night. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I don't think he deserves to be pulled off the air for that. But we'll see if it's like the other host that was pulled off the air. But I don't think it was for political reasonings. I think it was just that they pulled him off the air. I could be wrong. I'm trying to think of his name. I can see his face, but I can't think of his name. But moving forward, the next thing that is actually kind of big now, also in my world of kind of education, is the states banning cell phones and not wanting them and or locking them up in those little pouches that you can only unlock once you are done, and like once you're done with school, and the teachers have to unlock your phones. So they give you I was reading this off of one of the news articles, and basically what they have been saying is that while many states have at least partially banned cell phones in the classroom this back-to-school season, some are still leaving those decisions to their local education agencies. And let's see here. There's a quote that I kind of liked. Where's it at? So one of the quotes is, "It's a problem. We're trying to get kids to engage, to immerse themselves in subjects at hand, to communicate with their peers, to be part of the learning community. Lots of research to suggest that phones are very detrimental to students' levels of concentration and undermine, for those reasons and others, their learning. The modern cell phone debuted." Oh, I'm sorry. And that just continues into the rest of the article. But they're talking about the cell phone bans, and it kind of feels like a split decision a little bit, because there are some individuals who are saying, yes, ban the cell phones, we don't need them in the classroom, which, yes, you don't need the cell phones in the classroom, but everything's becoming so digital that kids are now getting iPads and laptops and all that. Now, yes, you can put all the different restrictions that you want on those things, but kids are sneaky. They find ways around it. I remember getting iPads starting in my freshman year of high school, and they had all the restrictions on it, and they continued to add more as the school years continued. But there were kids that found a way around the different protections that they had, and I was like, that's kind of really interesting. And it was actually really funny. One of the times we had somebody, this is when I believe it was Infinity War for Avengers came out, and somebody, this was not even a month later, somebody found the movie, pirated it, and like airdropped it to everybody's iPad. It was a big file, and it was the entire movie. I was like, how are you guys doing this? But there's a ban, partial ban, and no outright ban. Indiana has it as banned, and Illinois has it as no outright ban. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Me personally, I don't think cell phones should be in the classroom, but I also see it where it's a safety precaution, because it's a time and place where parents and students have to worry about school shootings, and they have to. I just hung up on a caller. Caller, please call back. But they have to worry about school shootings. They have to worry about the safety of those people. They have to worry about the what if. Like, what if there's a bad weather, like a tornado? What if there's a fire? What if? And that's one thing that parents are like, we won't have access to our children right away if you lock up their phones. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Let's see here. We have some people calling. Good morning, caller, on the air.
Good morning. You continue to say the tragedies that occurred. Are you having trouble saying the assassination of Charlie Kirk?
No.
Is that tough to come out of your mouth?
No, it's fine to say it, but there were so many tragedies on that day as well. And yes, the tragedy of Charlie Kirk, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. There's also the school shooting that happened on that same day as well. There's no reason to kind of, I would guess, tiptoe around it, but it's just what everybody's kind of referring to, the tragedy that happened on Thursday. And people automatically do know that Charlie Kirk had been assassinated on that day. That's just kind of what people that in my world have been like kind of lumping it to as the tragedy that happened on Thursday. But yes, it was the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Be different, Adriana.
I'm very different. I don't know what you're talking about.
But don't go with the crowd. Say a man was assassinated for speaking his beliefs.
Yes, he was. Okay.
You can't say that?
I just did.
Again, this is part of your woke culture. Have a great day.
The woke culture. Oh, I'm so happy that you like our woke culture. Thank you for saying that. I just think it's just educated. Woke culture. A man was killed. That's all it was. Good morning, caller, on the air.
Good morning, Adriana.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, that Jimmy Kimmel deal, you know, I think it's pretty disgusting. Who's the snowflakes now, you know? And then Trump talking that, you know, dismissing the murder, the assassination, as the previous caller insists on calling it. Yeah, I guess that's what it was, right? So we don't have a problem saying it and recognizing that it was a horrible thing. But you know, Trump didn't even go to the vigil. You know, he went golfing. So you know, he was like sorry and concerned for like a second. And then he went golfing, you know. So, you know, please, don't, you know, I was not a Kirk fan. You know, I didn't listen to him, you know. And then I think Monday, there's the guy that had the Monday show, man, breaking out on his name, you know, he was falling all over himself as to, you know, his words being taken out of context, you know. And so, you know, so it's like, rationalizing what he said.
Can I ask a question? Because I've been asking this question to just people in my life, and I just want to know the opinion of other people. Do you think that it was appropriate to put the flags at half-mast for Charlie Kirk?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. No, because Trump didn't order that for Holtz. You know, they were actually politicians. You know, that they got murdered in their house by a MAGA supporter. And that's just a fact. You know, that's just a fact, you know. And, you know, the governor of Utah was disappointed that it wasn't a minority or something that assassinated Kirk, you know. So
That is one thing that how you're saying that people were taking words out of context, cherry picking quotes that were said by this man. But if you were to look at his content, if there's so many quotes that can be taken out of context, at that point in time, it was what this person was saying. This was the rhetoric that they were distributing now for individuals who either think that his rhetoric was the way of life and that's how people should live their life. Okay, that's how you believe it. But there are other people that look at that rhetoric and say that this is not how life should be lived, and that's just the opinion of individuals. So that's one thing that how you're saying, like, people were saying, oh, you're taking all his quotes out of context. To a certain point, I think that's just what this man was saying throughout his lifetime.
Yeah, and I'm upset that they did that to Kimmel, and not that, he's my hero or anything like that. He did crack me up, and he was very outspoken, but, is that a crime? Why is that a crime now? I mean, we can, it's terrible, the free speech attack and what these guys are doing. I'm considering, canceling my Disney subscription, and that's kind of sucks to do that. They got all the cool shows on there, but it's they gotta feel what they did was wrong,
Yeah, and am I recalling it right that that's all that happened? Is that he brought up what happened to Charlie Kirk and then said, let's see how the president's doing, and it was that clip of Trump saying, he's like, I'm holding it pretty well, we're doing work on the ballroom at the White House, and then probably made some small joke and then continued on. Is that what happened? And that's why he's taken off?
There's a couple clips. There's a clip where you're saying, and then there's another one where he's expressing, his disgust and saying how wrong that was. And most of the people that I've been hearing, from the so-called left or Democrats and stuff, that's the first thing they do, is denounce it, like I am. I'm denouncing it too. That's a horrible thing. That's a horrible thing for anybody to do to anybody. So, I'm not for that, and just it's pretty disgusting, that they're able to do that, because they have the power right now to do that, and he's taking full advantage, trying to trip himself over the, to break the Constitution at every turn, and gerrymandering, and it's just a power play.
Yeah,
it's just a disgusting power play, and it's sad. It's very, very sad. I mean, so yeah.
Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, no problem. Well, I'm glad you're on, and I'm kind of hate that Jed took your time.
No, it's okay. They're out to breakfast as I get to set up all the stuff, which I'm actually pretty happy. It's nice and quiet in here.
So when would you be able to play music again? Would you ever be able to play music again?
If we continue on with the YouTube stream, then music will probably not be an option. But I know a lot of people are liking the advantage of the text message chat that YouTube offers. So it might be a good compromise to have. Even though, yes, the music is kind of just bumper music in between when we are taking breaks. But I know a lot of people still enjoy it. So if we are on YouTube and then we won't be able to really play music, it's going to be a transition happening throughout the next couple months, but we're going to try it out and see what happens.
I understand that, and that's fine. It was just fun to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah. But I'm not able to text because, I'm working at the time. So. But it's cool, but I had to call in.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much
for taking my call.
Yep.
No problem.
All right. We're going to take one more call, and then we're going to take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Adriana. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I counsel all your co-workers there about raising money and stuff, and I don't know if you picked up on anything, but I keep telling them, you guys are like not a sports streaming television. What are you? You're a platform for making money, right? Obviously, you guys all get paid. You guys get paychecks and stuff. That money's got to come from someplace. So maybe it's just the fact that Jimmy Kimmel wasn't funny anymore and didn't have an audience and couldn't support the cost of the show. That's why he got canceled.
I haven't looked at the stats, but I think that was something that, like, with just in general with late night hosts, that not a lot of people were tuning in, and it's also just the demise of how people don't really have cable. That's all streaming as well, right?
Yeah. Did you really think he was funny? His shows were funny? I haven't really thought Jimmy Kimmel was funny since he did the Man Show.
I never really watched him. If any late night show host that I did watch was, I think it's Jimmy Fallon. That was the only one that I kind of really watched, mainly because he had, when he was on, I believe he was on Saturday Night Live, but as he continued on, he had a lot of different artists that I kind of grew up with and kind of saw them when they became from their small artists into what they are now, which are like bigger pop stars that are headlining different concerts and all that. That's the kind of one that I grew up with, but I never really watched him at night, and he was one that was mainly shown on social media clips because of his presence with that kind of age group, of that generational age group. So that's the only one that I kind of seen. I didn't really see any of these other ones, but I know that like people who were my parents' age, that they enjoyed watching him, but as streaming became a thing, they don't really watch it as much.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I flipped over to like streaming podcasts and stuff 10 years ago. I haven't had cable in 10 years, so
I know we switched over to YouTube TV, and it was just like it is a little cheaper, but the rates for cable are insane. I didn't realize that. That was like one thing as I'm growing up. I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize how expensive this was.
It's ridiculously expensive, and it's not even worth it. Because you get like 110 channels of like garbage.
Yeah, like we use maybe 5 channels, and that's all we need.
Exactly. But yeah, I think ABC was looking for an excuse to like
kind of
cut ties. It was probably too expensive. It wasn't generating enough revenue, and that's it. So I don't know. I wasn't listening to the show this morning because it wasn't streaming on JED TV.
Yeah,
I can't get the broadcast out.
Switch over to YouTube. I know.
Oh, it has?
It has. We're fully on YouTube right now. We've taken the stream off of JED TV for the morning show to kind of make that a full sports network, and it was just also because we want to keep the content that WJOB is kind of known for to one side, whereas the sports are going to stay in their kind of world as well. So
okay, good to know.
Still together but separated. So yeah, we're now on our YouTube, WJOB 1230.
Did Jed talk about this morning that JED TV is going to be pitching for a $1 million investment next week?
I don't know. I wasn't listening before I got here. Once I got here, he was interviewing Sam about his new position as head coach of Highland Baseball, and then he was talking to John Doherty.
Okay. I just thought maybe they'd be talking about it. He was pretty excited about it yesterday when he saw me. So, but
that
they were an alternate
news,
for this, and I guess they got yanked into it. So,
yeah,
that's exciting. All right, Adriana, take it easy. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye. All right. We do have one more caller. Let's take that call, and then we'll take a break. I know we said we're going to take a break, but I don't want to leave this caller hanging for about 3 minutes. So, good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Okay. A long time ago, I got rid of my cable. All I got is now is a phone and the internet because simple reason, I can do my apps on my streaming to where I can watch the news and stuff and everything. I can go to Live HTTV or whatever that is. But the reason I got rid of the cable was because there was so much stupid, pitty garbage on there.
It feels like a lot of reruns and just shows and movies that we've already seen, whereas anything that's released brand new is already straight to those streaming platforms.
And then the thing about it is the reason I got rid of it was because, I used to watch kind of a certain news station, TV station, and when I saw they was just one-sided, then I switched to another one, then I see they're that-sided. So I stick to one station for Chicago. But once they start repeating it over and over and over again, then that's when I go to my TV and I watch my classic TV programs. I don't put the news, I'll put the news on for 1 hour a day. And then once they start repeating, because, okay, they've burned everything out on, they they burned everything out on, I'm saddened about Charles, that Kirk guy, okay? I'm more saddened about the family because the two young kids and the wife and all of his family, all his family has to suffer now the rest of their life because of what happened, but, enough is enough. Mellow out on it, put other news on that's important to the world to listen to. And then, you're talking about phones and iPads and schools. And, I see kids all the time, young kids, real young kids, they're not even up to my waist. And they're on that phone constantly playing with it. And, those young kids should be doing something more enjoyable in life and growing up instead of having a phone in their hand every second.
Yeah, I see it as children are growing up now, especially, of course, schools are going to implement new technology and they're going to implement those iPads and those laptops, but at a certain point in time, it comes to, okay, that can be at school. Now, when you come home, yes, allow them to play with toys. Allow them to use their imagination, because that is one thing that these newer children's shows, they are way overstimulating to where that kids aren't going to really want to watch, Sesame Street or the Muppets or Tom and Jerry. They're not going to really want to watch any of these because they're not stimulated enough, as these shows are very much in their face.
And, I used to always love to watch Disney on Saturdays or Sundays. They'd have their movies and everything, Disney. And they used to have good family movies come on, and I couldn't wait for it to come on to watch a good movie. And it's like now, like last night I tried to watch a little bit of TV, and I was sitting there, couldn't find nothing good to watch, so I go back, because now I've got just certain TV, where I can click on this and I can watch this TV show, and it goes through all their seasons. Because, the media and everything, I listen to you guys in the morning, now that I'm kind of retired, and I can sit home all morning and listen to you guys. And I enjoy listening to JED in the morning because everybody voices their opinions and talks their ways, this way, that way, every which way. And the thing about it is, I listen. Sometimes I don't agree with that one. I don't agree with this one. I don't agree with that one. But the thing is, I listen, and, I'm not going to call in and I'm going to badmouth that person or this person. I listen. I might call in and somebody's going to not like what I just said now. Okay. That person should just listen. I have certain people that call me up and talk to me, and I listen to them. We talk, and, I try to stay away from the politics now, because that is the most problem with people is the politics gets involved with your personal friendship. Things you do, like sports and your cheerleading and all that stuff everybody does. Just do that cheerleading, do that. What Michael's going to be a head coach now, do that. Leave politics and all the garbage in the other world out and just focus on the kids.
I agree with you on that aspect. I do have some friends that they are very much to the left, or they are very much to the right, or there are some that decide that they want to be in the middle and go sometimes to the left and sometimes to the right. I have friends that are like that, and some of them are my very best friends that me and them don't agree with politics, but in a sense, I think that we're mature enough to where we can say, yes, we're going to set aside those differences and we're going to go on with our lives and be friends. But when it comes to politics, we may not talk about those topics, and that's okay. I'll talk about politics with certain people, and then there's some that I won't. But I'm not going to detriment a friendship just because somebody takes to heart what happens in politics a lot more than other people.
And then, it's like last Sunday, I finally ventured out and took my camera, decided I'm going to try to take some pictures and start doing some movement on my Facebook page for my video productions and stuff. And what was most enjoyable at that car show in Maryville was that I'm watching mother, father, and family together, just enjoying a day. And I'm watching the way they are. They don't have their phones in their hands. They're just enjoying it. And then I seen, what was the most enjoyable was I seen a mother with a baby in a stroller and an officer standing there taking pictures of it. So that must have been his wife, and he has to work that event, but she come out with the kid to have a good time. And, you know, that's what I watch a lot of rounds when I'm doing events, is I'm watching that lately in the last year in this region, I'm seeing a lot of, you know, especially like Wicker Park and a lot of places in this area and these festivals that they have that I've done, is the thing that I've seen is that the mother, father, and the children are all together, and you don't see them with their phone in their hand a minute. They're walking around, they're going up to the concession stand, they're all sitting there at a picnic table eating hot dogs and nachos and cheese. And I'm watching the people because I'm seeing, okay, all these problems in the world, but guess what? They're all together on a day enjoying a family affair.
Yeah, it's rare to come by. You're correct. I remember doing those kind of things with my family, and that is one thing. I remember growing up that it was strange to some people I grew up with that they were like, "Wait, you have family dinners?" I was like, "Yeah, every night if we can." And everybody's home from work and school and everybody's there, we all sit down at the table and we eat together. And people thought that was the strangest concept because I remember friends that I grew up with, they're like, no, I just kind of take my dinner and just go to my room and eat it. And I was like, you guys don't sit down with your parents? They're like, no, everybody just kind of does their own thing. Now, of course, as me and my brother got older and we were in sports and after school activities and we worked, it's a little harder to come by, but we still pride ourselves on trying to do that at least once a week. Like everybody sit down at the table, and it's that connection that I don't think a lot of people have growing up or that they will have now because everybody, as you said, is attached to those screens.
You know, it's the thing, you know, it's so nice that, you know, in our region, you know, I'm watching, you know, every race color, every kind of color there is, or race people with nationalities they are. And all of them get along together in this region of activities going on. And that's what I watch a lot is, you know, I do the festival, I won't say where, and I'm watching it, and it's like every race there, everybody's just having a blast. And then there was all these ladies dancing to this band that I was producing, and I go up to them, can I get a little video you guys dance so I can put on there? Oh man, they was tickled to death. They're all, and then other people joined in, and they weren't of their race because they saw everybody was just having a great time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I like seeing now in this area, in this region, is, you know, everybody, you know, when they're at a place like that with friends and family, they're putting away all the problems in the world and just that day, that moment, just thinking about having a good time. You know, I'm going to let you go because you got to do your commercial break and everything, but, you know.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling in.
It's a pleasure you keeping Jed in line in the studio and everything, you know.
We try.
And, you know, I've been listening long enough, and I've seen so many leave and go on elsewhere, you know. I don't know how sad Jed's going to be if something happens to you, you know.
Well, we'll see. I'm here. I know I'm here until I graduate from school in May.
I think he should make you guys sign contracts.
Yeah, at that point.
That way, you know, you're stuck. You're stuck there, you know. Because
it's a good place to be stuck at.
Once I get used to you and all the other, like Sonny and all the other ones that have gone on, you know, you get used to them, and then all of a sudden, got to get used to a new one. I'm thinking, okay, how long does this one goes to Good Morning America, you know?
Yeah.
So you and everybody out there in the station and everybody just have a wonderful and safe day.
Thank you. You too as well.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, well, I think that's where we're going to end it right now. I'm going to get set up for the next segment. So we're going to do Mastering Local Marketing, and then we're also going to do the Weezer podcast. So please stay tuned for that. You're going to hear a little bit. I know the music is not the greatest, but we're going to find some good non-copyright music eventually. It's kind of just trial and error, I guess. But let's see here. Let's see what we have. It's so funny that a lot of these non-copyright music, they'll have like The Simpsons on it, and I think it's the funniest thing because they're just kind of cool. So yeah, let's try. I don't know. Let's go with. I like the little Nintendo ones. So let's see what this kind of has. Of course, the only thing with this is that there's ads to them. Let's try this one. And we're going to be right back. We're going to play some commercials. You're going to hear the loop on for just a little bit as we get set up for Mastering Local Marketing. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to The Morning Show on WJOB, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, live on YouTube as well. We'll be right back.